button is pressed.
Welcome back to Exalted 3rd Edition, Crimes of Nature. Last time, politics, wrestling, vote, secrets. Just a lot of stuff happened all at once, actually. It was kind of a pretty dense session of stuff that happened. Sports ensued in the Imperial City. Angler revealed his past as a member of an underground wrestling ring.
You don't know that. That never happened. Allegedly revealed
The
his
mysterious
past.
knife eyes
Allegedly.
attack showed up. And then fought, Smoldering Fisher, managed by, Sinus Broken Ass, as a diversion to get, entertainment in sports happened. And then from there, oh, right, no, I need to actually address... I like how we all thought of sports first and not that you shot Waluigi in the fucking back. That was what actually happened first.
Someone shot Waluigi in the face outside of Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, it happened.
Is that saying that the Nellens Corporation, I guess they would be a corporation, runs Barnes & Noble? Because I'm all about this.
You want to sell books?
God, but
The
yeah,
Nolan
no.
Zaibatsu.
He was there for a book signing, and someone just walked in and shot him with a crossbow.
Covered in fucked up poison.
You hate to
But
see
yeah,
it.
the prisoner handoff happened. He was immediately shot in the back of the neck, took the L to the poison out of spite, and the Hearth scrambled very quickly to cover up the escape of the assassin who had clearly nothing to do with them, and the incredibly Looney Tunes ass way that they got away by jumping on a weird artifact and rocketing through several solid walls and smashing into a crater on the far wall, and then eventually dumping themselves in a trash can to hide. Look, the Imperial City's going to be talking about this one for longer than usual. So, there was that, and then everyone did sports as a way of decompressing and not thinking about cold-blooded murder in the open streets. And then they went and visited Angler's family in the House Nellens, Juice Prefecture. The home estate was visited. The twin daughters Ursula and Polaris were met. Furious Cascade was discussed with and caught up on all the stuff that she had not been actually informed on yet. She was of mixed opinions on that. Seems willing to go along with the plans, though.
Congratulations on your promotion to leaving now.
Your promotion to ruling a country across the planet, actually. Leaving, like, now? Does now sound good? Met her, bodyguard / consort, Granted Sunrise. They do their day job is basically tutoring and assisting with martial arts training for Angler's daughters. Repose set up a meeting at their leisure with the nearest Lord of the Earth Elemental courts. And Old Man remained in the Imperial City on the boat, just staring angrily at the Big Rock, because Old Man was not going anywhere near the Big Rock.
It's not just at the Big Rock. We wouldn't focus much of his energy on the Big Rock because it's not really, worth doing so.
Well, then what would you be staring angrily at all day?
We'd be staring generally neutrally at most of the skyline.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to ask, what is Old Man able to fill his time doing nothing? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I know.
He can just spend all time doing fuck all.
Mm-hmm.
He's quite good at it.
Yeah.
It's one of the things he's best at, in fact.
And as chat brings up, far more people will remember in history the Naked Sky Assassin than they will even the name or identity of the random schmuck that guy shot. It was Waluigi, who cares? But, back to the current events at the, suppose you don't really have a cadet family, so it's just Angler and Cascade's estate. the two pressing matters were you mentioned that you wanted to meet with a house matriarch, and were told that she was in the capital. Were you wanting her to come to see you at your estate, or did you want to go out and see her yourself?
Well, the capital, we need to head back to the capital anyway because...
Not the capital, the capital of this prefecture, which is...
Oh, I would definitely go to see her.
Okay. And Repose would be going to see the Earth Elemental in the meantime, then.
Yes.
Yes, I would ask to bring, unless Milan wants to go meet the Earth Elemental, Vanif Milan with me.
I can go.
Yang and Obsidian are also along for the ride, so they can pick which way they would like to go.
I'm gonna follow beneath.
I'm gonna go.
Milan. I gotta start calling you Milan.
I'm just gonna go
Wait.
stare off at rooftops for a bit. I have no idea what I want to do in the Imperial City, honestly.
Which one is the family name and which one is the given name?
First
Milan,
family name is Beneath.
Yeah, it is. First name is family, second name is personal.
All right, so
Beneath is
Milan.
the family name.
Okay.
Milan
is
of
the,
House
given name.
Beneath.
All right.
Yes. So yeah, I will tap back in on Yang in the meantime. But Yang can lurk around and do side quests in
Yeah,
the
I'll
family
he'll
estate.
be in the back pocket until it's either I come up with an idea or it's funny to interrupt to do a scene.
Yes.
Milan also wants to talk to Yang once we get back to the Imperial City.
Right, that scene still needs to happen.
Oh,
Yeah, and we're also going to be, I mean, this is still like, what, mid-afternoon at this point? We can go meet the matriarch and get back here and possibly head back to the Imperial City today. Probably head back to the Imperial City tomorrow morning.
It would be like tomorrow morning or afternoon. It would be an overnight flight if you left.
If it's going to be an overnight, we're not going to leave in the middle of the night. That's a terrible idea. We will die. Angler's definitely going to want to talk to his family at nighttime once he has opportunity to not be around his brothers, without it being obvious that he's not around his brothers.
All right. So, y'all have a preference as to which scene we do first, the Elemental or the Matriarch?
I suggest we do politics first.
Sure.
Let me
Okay.
rephrase
Well,
that.
that's good.
Human politics?
Yeah, that's fine. So, the crew loads up on the storm cloud. Takes off as Repose heads out into the mountainous foothills to the north, and Yang begins to look for gold exclamation points over people's heads on the family estate. The flyover of the country is very comforting and familiar to Angler at this point. To Milan and Obsidian, it's a different kind of perspective. Neither have really been out in Nellen's territory very often in person. It is kind of rocky, mountainous foothills near the foot of the Imperial Mountain, obviously. But around the Obsidian Mirror and the capital city of the prefecture itself, it is not the most fertile valleys, but it has been worked into a developed situation. There's a lot of outlying hamlets. There's a lot of just the feeling of finding space out here and making the best of what we can use out of it. Because this close to the Holy Imperial Mountain, it's like a little difficult to get anything out of it that is not just directly Earth related. It's great for mining, not great for a whole lot else. So the crew lands in the prefecture. Let me just pull up the notes of the city so I can have a quick description. There we go. So, the city of Zhush itself dates back to the First Age. It is one of several, actually, kind of probably the plurality of major cities in the Isle go back to First Age foundations, even if they don't show many signs of it these days. Some of the civic buildings still actually survive from the First Age, although they have been heavily retrofitted and, had maintenance on them. Nellens, as Angler knows, puts a ton of their wealth into going, look, we actually have our capital in a First Age city. A lot of these buildings are very, very well kept. The public works are extremely well taken care of with a lot of pride. A lot of flowers are currently in bright bloom. It is the season for a lot of the perennials to start coming up out of the ground and blooming. The roads, Milan is actually quite pleased to see, are pretty much just... If this was an inspection from the department, they would be getting an A. There is no maintenance issue that Milan can see that is not already being immediately addressed. One of the quirks of the city that is immediately obvious upon touching down outside of it is this is where the Immaculate Order started a very, very, very long time ago. It moved a long time ago to both the Sublime Palace and the Imperial City. This is the heart of where it initially started, so a lot of pilgrimage sites are in this city. One that Angler has personally visited is the Palace of Sacred Strife. It is where the Immaculate Dragon Mela was said to have rallied the first wild hunt against the anathema ever. Another one is the Immaculate Temple of Fire, where there is said to be in a sepulcher hidden from, non-ordained eyes, is the golden bones of Heshiesh himself in eternal fire. It is a city full of tombs and martyrs and missionaries, and just everywhere you turn is just you feel there is somebody who is going to be talking to you about, have you heard about, the good word of such and such, or a plaque saying here somebody died for, the Empress, etc.
For some shitty reason.
This is, where, etc. Selen Tor was broken, and upon the wheel for refusing to recount the faith in the early days of the Empire. Here's the building where such and such was born, and on and so forth. Nellens maintains all these sites because it's not a bad idea to get a good relationship with the Immaculate Order and the Empire, but it's
Tourism.
not... It's tourism more to the Nellens. They are, there's plenty of pious Nellens, but this is not the same sort of fervent zeal that Ladal or Menemen would be taking care of it. It's more along the lines of well, we're not stupid. We're going to take care of this, but we're not fanatical about it. Also, it is kind of evidenced by how a lot of the holy shrines and temples and sacred sites are right up to artisan workshops and other places that are much more central to the Nellens economy of, importing goods and turning them into artisan work and then exporting them out to the other houses. It is a very odd mixture of an old city that a new house moved in on and just sort of integrated itself into.
Quick thing, since we're here, Angler would give notice that he would like to speak with the matriarch, but if he has the time, he wants to go to the Temple of Dinard.
Dinard?
It's D.
Dinard is the...
I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, Dinard is the elemental dragon of water, yes.
Yes. Very much needs to go say, for no particular reason, go there for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, it is not... They don't have any particularly... Heshiesh's tomb is said to have his bones. Dinard does not have any physical relics left in the city. There is obviously there is a temple to her, but most of her major sacred sites are off, on the west coast. So it's just kind of we need one out here, but she didn't really do anything in particular out here.
That's fine.
And I may be mispronouncing it, but that is just how I'm saying it. I don't know.
That's fine. That's like me trying to pronounce any of the characters from the Wheel of Time series. I'm sure there's correct pronunciations, but I had it stuck in my head when I was 10 years old, and it's there forever.
Mm-hmm. So, first things first, yeah, you would go to the Temple of Dinard. It is, to reiterate an often refrain of the Imperial... It's not the most impressive shrine. to her on this isle. It is certainly the most impressive shrine to anyone else off of the isle that they have ever seen. Like, it is immense. There is just a wide open, I suppose cenote would be the right word. Just kind of a sinkhole bored into the ground with water in it. And that is just kind of the communal get in the pool to commune with the element of water. There appears to be some monks just kind of going around doing their own business, not bothering you unless you come up and speak to them.
Angler will make a quick bow to the monks in general if they've noticed or pay attention to him, but otherwise he's just going to walk directly into the pool.
Okay. And what exactly would you be doing?
If he is in the pool and there's no one else around, he is going to assume the water dragon form.
All right.
Martial arts form, and then onto his knees and bow his head down to the ground and then say, I understand that my form is not what is common, but what I do in reference and reverence to you, so please forgive me for any transgressions.
Make me a... Loon, is there a standardized prayer roll, or is it very depending on the situation?
Perform is the stock prayer to use.
God, I gotta get points in perform.
All right, then it would be manipulation perform.
All right.
Why manipulation?
You are trying to get them to forgive you, and like this is I'm trying to get you to do what I want, which is to forgive me.
I
He
guess.
doesn't even know if he needs forgiveness, but he's going to ask it.
Yeah, this is I'm trying to get what I want rather than anything else.
One success. I have no performance.
Shrug.
Yeah.
You don't feel any offense from the water or anything around you, but you certainly don't feel any spiritual feeling of lightness or acknowledgement. You might as well have just said that to a brick wall. You
Okay.
don't. You may have gotten the message.
In
Maybe.
that case,
Spirit, the element associated immensely with flexibility and whatnot. Please forgive me for being flexible.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
know
about
this
that
may
before
be a
doing
bit
this,
of an
but-
unreasonable and imposing demand, but could we relax about this?
There's
If
reason
if
he's
anything,
doing
the
this.
one success is a moment of feeling briefly a little silly.
Yeah, and because billing with that silliness, he's actually going to hold on. Because he's underwater and most people cannot see him, he is going to use Dragon Surmounts the Waterfall and via swimming or dance or whatever perform a martial arts form underwater as reverence and then leave.
Okay. I'll not make you roll again for that. That is just kind of that'll add something, but no need to roll for it. So
And then
yeah,
Pilgers leave.
just gently get out of the cenote, dry off a little bit with a towel.
Nope.
And then...
Nope,
Okay.
he does not dry.
Okay. Yeah, then just walk out.
Moist angler.
To be fair, he's most of the time moist.
I was gonna say that's
Water aspect. That's the thing. Very
As he leaves the
slightly-
water, he is going to stop intentionally holding back his luminescence, phosphorescence, whatever, and he's just going to let himself glow.
That actually doesn't get you any side eye from anybody.
Yeah, he realized once he got back to the island that doesn't really matter. As soon as he walked around the people and saw their clothing and everything else about them,
Cast
But in-
marks, sufficiently old dragon bloods just look weirder on their own.
yeah, but there's more dragon bloods here rather than out and not
Yeah.
here. So he's
Yeah,
just
like-
going to let himself relax a bit.
Once you pass 100, 200 years old as a dragon blood, you're pretty visibly not a normal person anymore. You just have a more distinct mark a little earlier than you should. And unless somebody is like a sorcerer, they're not really gonna figure out it was a wild mutation.
It's fine. Anyway, that's enough of that.
So yeah, you head out on the temple, still dripping with water as you walk back up to Obsidian and Milan, and gesture for them to head down to the office of ministerial work.
Obsidian would have a thought about like sees Angler and then thinks about what Repose was saying to him.
Maybe I should go hang out with the fire.
Maybe I should go see some fire.
Milan is
My brother,
avoiding
how long
all-
has it been since you touched a stove?
There is like the stove on the
Are
island.
you in touch with the stove?
I've never touched the stove before.
Milan
voice
is
that?
avoiding all eye contact with any priests. Milan does not get along with the Immaculate Order, especially here on the Isle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for dragging you here, but I think it is necessary.
No,
Because
it's good.
it's probably very obvious you were trying to avoid anything.
I would not be the one to start anything.
True, but you're here and gives the option for something to start. So, again, I am sorry.
No worries.
Shut up, I didn't mean to say dragon you here. Get out.
Lucky for you, Milan did not catch that.
Look, this isn't the worst puns I've heard in the last 24 hours.
Anyway, moving along quickly.
And just briefly for the people asking about it in the chat, yeah, all of the extremely high level beings in creation actually get along quite well. It's just all of their awful tiny garbage semi-mortal children who are deep in the
Fighting.
10,000 year slap fight.
It's all of the bureaucracies that they set up keep fighting, while everybody on the top is more or less okay with each other because they're at the top and they don't really have conflicting agendas beyond keep things existing. And yeah, like the Immaculate Dragon, like if Dinard heard that, probably doesn't give a single fuck.
Oh, yeah, it's fair. It's just mostly a matter of...
Oh yeah, no, it's a very good role-playing scene and thing for Angler to consider.
Because he doesn't really know that. He doesn't really...
No,
follow
like, yeah.
the-
But just Dinard curled up at the lowest points of the ocean, looking up puzzledly. What are they doing up there? Are they smashing all the icons again? I never said anything about icons, one way or the other.
Why do they pictures?
Why do they keep arguing about this? It's just pictures of things.
It can't hurt you. It's just a
This
picture.
keeps happening.
Don't make me come up there. You know what happened the last time I came up there.
Her head just pokes out of the water for a second. Everyone's like, oh, she's back. It's the great thing. And she's just like, shut up, and goes back to sleep.
Why do you have to
Her
be
head pokes above
mad?
water, a tsunami wipes out millions. Oops.
See, we
But-
didn't smash the icons fast enough. We angered her.
God.
Deface everything.
But yeah, I will actually leave on the table. If Obsidian wants to go to the Immaculate Temple of Fire, I would be totally willing to do the side thing before the politics, if the others are.
I don't have an idea for it, so it would
Okay.
be like a whole lot of nothing.
Okay. That's fair. I just wanted to make sure the offer was on the table. So,
That's fine. Thank you.
the party heads down towards the ministerial offices. The brief check at the front door is immediately waved away when Angler shows off the housemon. Takes in the other two as just, the minister and my guest. Heads in through the ministerial building, and this is where Milan feels at home. This is, if anything, very refreshing to see that House Nellens has a synchronous view of how the ministry should be, in terms of this is not, by dynastic standards, this is not for fancy. This is no frills. By many other standards, yes, it is very fancy, has frills, but this is just offices. This is here to do your work. We are here to make this prefecture run. We are here to do our paperwork. We are here to do our, to balance our treasuries, keep notes, balance our ledgers. And we don't need this place to be, plated in jade and orichalcum and, have, like complimentary hookah bars every 3 feet, like how Sinus does. It is just a governmental building that doesn't have pretensions, and it has been a while since Milan has stepped foot in one of those that was not one that Milan ran.
It is
We don't-
pleasant.
We don't need to be ostentatious. We use all the money we could spend on all that stuff to get more money, so who cares?
Exactly. Plating all of your wood in magical material is money you could invest in getting more magical material. I don't
How
need
dare
to be.
you subtweet my Valheim builds?
You are astounded by how few bones are used to hold up all of these structures. Not a single
could be so
extraneous
many-
bone in the building.
There could be so many more bones.
It's not
But yeah, there's not really a full reception because it is assumed if you are in the building, you know where you're going. You were either invited, you know where you're going, or something has gone horribly wrong. So you make your way through the kind of winding, multi-floor quasi-maze. It is not deliberately like super hard to navigate, but it is also not a straight shot because you never know. It's the island, you never know. Don't make it too easy for anybody coming in who isn't supposed to be there. Up near the top floor, not on the top floor, that's for religious ceremonies and, audiences with the Empress, in theory. Very rarely used for that, even when she was around. Is the office of the Most August Conclave members. The offices, I should say. The Most August Conclave meets in its own large chamber on the top floor. The Most August Conclave is a unique thing about House Nellens that has been mentioned a little bit out of character, but instead of having a single matriarch who calls all of the shots for the house, there are multiple people involved in the governance of top-level decisions. The matriarch, as every other house acknowledges, and then kind of, if they can get away with it, politely ignores the rest of the conclave, is Nellens Gazal. And that is the office that you are going to. There are 3 Dragonbloods and 4 mortals. Nellens Gazal is one of the Dragonbloods.
Yeah, there's always multiple mortals on the ruling council. It is an important distinction on Nellens, so that they make sure mortals' voices can be heard.
Yep. And traditionally, it is a 3-7 split in the mortals' favor. And that is a part of the reason that the other houses pretend those 4 mortals don't exist.
It is unreasonable how well Obsidian and Angler would actually get along.
I have been waiting for describing House Nellens politics for both you and Milan for a while. Because this is just like shoves both houses together. Alliance.
Yeah, this is a point of silent praise on Milan's part of, yeah, you guys get this.
Welcome to House Populism.
Angler extremely does not talk about his house because he is used to people beating down his house.
Obsidian actually roll me for Obsidian going through. Roll me wits bureaucracy as you are walking through the building.
Give me a hot second to look up my bureaucracy.
You put a couple points of that recently, right?
Yeah,
you
I'm up to 3 actually.
You beefed it up because of trade stuff.
Nellens and Venif are in a bad position to be friends. Nellens is also pretty pissed off at Venif right now because Venif
There are
took some of
several
Nellens'
reasons.
stuff.
There are quite a few reasons in the way of the block being formed by default. The player characters of this hearth are very good at getting around those problems.
Anyway, that's a 5.
Obsidian actually recognizes that there are more patrician surnames on the offices you're walking by of the high level positions than there are even like cadet family names or dynast names. This is not a, oh yeah, no, we're letting them totally have a say, and then just having all it just be Nellens. Like, there are patricians in multiple top level offices you would expect to be going to like commanding officer level people.
Yes.
So-
yes. Good.
Obsidian is just realizing, holy shit, hang on. They're just letting the patricians run most of this place. What?
Glad to know somebody gets it here.
So, the group goes up to the matriarch.
Just think about it. At one time, you know, the Solars were in power, and then the Dragonborn rose up because there were more of them, and then at some day,
House populism.
we probably shouldn't treat the people that are more of us like shit.
It's fine. Don't
Maybe
worry
the
about it.
people who are more of us have just the right to be here and live their lives
Yes,
as we do.
exactly.
Sounds fake. Anyway, the door to Nellens' Gazal's office is emblazoned with the mon of House Nellens. Clearly, it is an office that has been reused for the position of several matriarchs over the course of the history of the house. There hasn't been much personalization on the outside of it. Angler, having visited Gazal several times, knows that on the inside she has taken some liberties. But at first knocks on the outside door to, alert to the presence. There is a moment before the door slips open slightly and a middle-aged patrician sticks her head out and takes a look. Angler, I believe? She says, kind of hesitantly, trying to remember without you introducing.
Yes, matriarch. I am here on business.
Right, yes. I will let her know. The door shuts briefly, and then opens up all the way to let you inside of the office itself. I'm gonna switch over scene.
Oh, I do not like those eyes. Those eyes don't miss anything.
Yeah, that's just the initial thing to say about Nellens Gazal is the unofficial head of the three Dragonblood matriarchs, class semi-official, because Nellens Gazal is the sort of woman who knows where the bodies are buried. She is the one who understands that this is the realm and you do, in fact, have to play dirty. Like, she does not do that to the house itself, but her position requires her to interact with both the Empress and the rest of the great houses on a regular basis. Her gaze is the sort of gaze where you start to feel the temperature of your skin rising by several degrees a second if she focuses on you too hard. She is quite old and quite experienced, and yes, as Staghorn just mentioned in chat, she is extremely the sort of person who would get a Yakuza lieutenant intro splash screen. That level of is
Yeah.
important.
Ah, fuck, she's cool.
My grandma's cool, and that's a problem.
She leans back in her rather plush chair. It's made of fairly solid, just oak, dark wood stain on it. The desk in front of her is actually fairly clear of paperwork today. It looks like she was probably mostly doing discussions with other people rather than handling the paperwork herself. And makes direct eye contact long enough with Angler to make Angler slightly uncomfortable before kind of softening the gaze to allow Angler to not make direct, terrifying, into the needles eye contact. Welcome back, Angler.
I trust the package was delivered properly for the wedding.
It was, and I must confess that I am quite proud of you for acquiring such magnificent handiwork on such what it sounded like complicated circumstances.
Heh.
It was... At that, he just kind of snorts at Obsidian. It was harder than than I expected it would be. My hearthmates here were largely the reason why we were able to succeed, and also do a little bit more in the area than necessary.
Thinks to herself for a moment. I have not been properly introduced to your two associates. Are they your hearthmates, or are they simply associates while you're back on the Isle?
Oh, by the way, for reference, in case this was forgotten, Obsidian is still wearing the mask.
Yeah, no, you are still in disguise, I know.
Yes. Clarifying both for everybody else here and also the stream.
It has been a week.
Yes, these are my hearthmates. And I will move to the side and allow them to introduce themselves fully, but starting with on my left, this is Vineeth Milan.
Pleasure to make your acquaintances. I must say, I am quite joyous to see how well run your ministry is here.
Flattery will get you some places, young Master Vineeth, but I do appreciate it. From what I have understood of your jurisdiction over the Ministry of Transportation, you have a much more Nellen's view of the Ministry and the Thousand Scales than many of the other houses do. Her facial
I've got nothing other than thank you.
Yeah, her facial expression is not leaking any sort of inclination one way or the other. She's just very evenly faced saying that. And then just kind of slowly glances over towards Obsidian Shield, kind of raising an eyebrow very slightly. Is that a new threshold fashion of some manner?
Oh, sorry. If she does mean Obsidian would be wearing his normal clothes, but just the mask.
No, she's referring to the mask. Like, she's looking at the mask.
And my other compatriot here is a bodyguard of sorts from Milan. They entered into a contract over in the 100 Kingdoms, and I'd prefer actually if they introduce themselves.
Obsidian would introduce himself just as Fissure.
Okay.
And just say, just a very simple, likes how she runs this place.
It's always good to hear. You get the very distinct feeling that she notices the complete lack of explanation of who you are, where you're from, who your family is, and lingers her eye contact on you just long enough to start getting a little uncomfortable before switching back over to Angler. Now, I have heard some reports from the other family members about the events out in the Threshold. I take it that coming in person with a member of Matriarch Vineeth's direct family, as a matter of fact, and a personal bodyguard means that you have a little more personal information to be disclosing?
I have 3 things of import to talk with you about.
Immediately gets a piece of paper on her desk and pulls out a quill.
First and foremost, I wish to formally ask for a member of our senatorial group to introduce Vineeth Milan at the Senate, or Parliament, as soon as we arrive back in the Imperial capital.
She looks up and is somewhat taken aback by that. May I ask for what purpose Master Vineeth will be speaking on the deliberative floor?
I will leave that to them, but the reason for asking is I made a promise and I intend to keep it.
I understand, but leveraging a favor from my position to... She pauses as she's reassessing what she's about to say about the deliberative. To one of the senators of the Greater Chamber, in any respect these days, is a considerably more loaded gesture than it used to be. So I'd like to know the possible ramifications of my involvement in such matters.
The reason I ask for it, and I will allow Vanif Milan to explain themselves fully here momentarily, is the second piece of business. While we are in the 100 Kingdoms, we were able to bring back a member of another house who had made wild transgressions, and while they were here, they were given back to their household and summarily assassinated by unknown parties. However, their moving away from the 100 Kingdoms leaves a power vacuum. And I wish to move immediately to fill that vacuum with a member of our household. Oh boy, what did she just roll?
Read intentions on you.
He's gonna allow her to read him. He's being completely honest. He wants her to be in power.
Which house?
Caesar?
Sinus.
Sinus. Can't keep doing that. Caesar is a different character. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's from a different game. Yeah, Sinus.
Do they know you were involved?
They know that we brought them back. We completed a transaction, gave them over, and as I turned back to look at Milan. Was it less than a minute after the transaction? They were shot in the street.
I was not personal to witnessing it, but judging by the commotion I heard, it was very
Do they
quick.
know you were involved?
No.
Good. Keep it that way.
In fact, I aided them in their search of the assassin and rescued one of their members from falling to their death from a springboard? I don't understand how that thing worked.
I don't need full details. All I need to know is how much of a backlash that would have been on us.
Man,
it's better
being a
from...
boon.
She nods. So long as it has been handled and within acceptable parameters, then I shall take a benign disinterest in any further information for the betterment of all of us. She looks up. Master Vanif, I believe that you had an explanation you wanted to give?
I do. I wish to speak to the Greater House. All right, give me the player a moment.
Sure.
If you need a moment, I can explain what the third thing was to let you have time to build.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
The third item is, and this is why I actually wanted to come back. We ran into multiple instances of dealing with those from below.
Obsidian were just anathema.
Yeah, well, he was being polite. Yeah, anathema.
And Obsidian is blunt.
She leans back in her chair at that, kind of pulling back the quill, propping herself on one elbow on one arm of the chair. Her expression has gone from kind of dispassionate taking down information to, you have my personal attention at that. How many?
Multiple. And Angler will explain as much detail, because remember, he doesn't know everything that happened in the idea with all of the blood, but explain the entire blood situation.
Well, and this is where I'm saying, well, as you finish up the blood, well, there was also the man with the scythe. There was also, it just starts listing off all the other things that we
Just
got.
Obsidian casually flexing to reveal the scar of just, I may have tagged the director.
Actually
What
kind of
up?
pulling down the casual shirt to show the giant scar up to the collarbone. As Ghazal is not like shocked, but visibly has dropped the impassive face to allow herself to look genuinely impressed. I'm rather surprised that more of that information didn't make it back to the Isle. I know it is quite a long way, but you would think the satrapy would be reporting on such momentous occasions. Would you happen to have anything to do with that trickle of information being restricted?
I had not had any contact with the satrapy. I believe Vanif Milan, however, did, and that answers a few questions, in fact. Milan, what did you do?
Nothing.
At Milan saying nothing, the first smile cracks onto her face, just kind of a half smirk.
Either they are disinterested in sharing this information, or they have their head up their ass.
Perhaps they fear the potential of a more aggressive approach to managing the anathema that they clearly cannot handle without a outsider hearth intervening for them.
Their grip in the area is very weak, House Mistress.
As it would be understandable for these sons of bitches taking it from us 5 years ago and likely smoking cocaine the entire time then, rather than actually solidifying their hold.
Yes, no, that's correct. Saw that many times.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of cocaine.
And this
That's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to get a foothold nearby. It allows us to maintain a hold in the area, and if they manage to, let's just drop polite conversation, fuck it up even further, we'd be able to do something about it.
An understandable and valiant goal for the long-term efforts of House Nellens. However, I must confess that the Conclave has not really been thinking of foreign policy as of late. I am sure that all present understand this.
And that is what brings me to my proposal.
Eyes immediately snap to Milan.
The Conclave is, as I've heard at this time, so focused on tearing apart each other and themselves.
Deliberative is the word you
Yeah,
need. Conclave is
not
the
conclave.
Nellens.
Apology. The deliberative is so focused
You would
on...
not have made that mistake in character.
The deliberative is so focused on drawing up battle lines, tearing apart the law of her redness, as, for example, my own policies and changes to the roads of the land. They seek to tear apart for their own personal gain.
Ah, so you have heard that they were involved in that. I was curious.
Yes. I mean to remind them that there is more pressing matters to the Empire and creation than petty squabbling.
False. There is nothing more important.
Old man just sliding out of the floor to say that and sliding back into the floorboards. But no.
Just the tiny voice of old man in the corner of Milan's mind. Just, you're wrong, though.
You think that, wouldn't you?
Milan knows he's wrong, but understandably just wishes he wasn't.
Much like your posting.
Oh, direct shot right at beneath Milan.
But Ghazal kind of recomposes her face to be even and takes a visible moment to think as her quill is hovering over the paper. She's written down the first two things already, has not written down the third part. I see no harm in House Nellens introducing you to make such a motion on the floor, as I see little chance of this affecting anything.
I understand.
She just gives kind of a slight shrug. Frankly, I wish it was as easy as giving a impassioned reminder to the greater duties of the realm, to the assembled dynasts of the Greater Chamber. However, if such a thing was effective, this whole scenario would have been avoided 7 years ago.
Because, Matriarch Ghazal, the reason I wanted to have Beneath Milan be introduced by our house is if you need to take care of the stain on our honor for introducing such a ridiculous proposal would allow my family and I, since my family would be the one in charge of the prefecture, to be quote-unquote exiled from the island in order to maintain control there. It would give us an excuse.
And sorry, I'll let you finish your thought.
She actually she actually pauses as Milan speaks.
As it is by law, it takes 3 members of the deliberative to introduce legislation. Yours would not be the only name. I would lean on my own house and my contacts as well.
Of course. But frankly, she kind of pulls a kind of slight grimace. I think you overestimate your importance if you believe this would cause enough scandal to require an exile.
Oh no, I don't think it should cause enough, but exile is exile. It hasn't been the first time I've been removed from my home.
She just gives you read intentions.
By the way, he is not referring to her kicking him out to go that way. He is referring to the first time he had to leave home.
Yes, but that is also a double-edged
7.
statement. There is a level of, did you really just fucking backtalk me? And not in a sense of, like, being insulted, but, like, if that was intentional backtalk, you get one and I respect that one. Don't do it again. Like, there is a level of, alright, you earned that. Don't push it. Thinks to herself, I would prefer to keep the formal exile at the bottom of our toolbox to maintain flexibility in our ability to approach this. After all, again, control of Grey Falls in the long term only matters if the realm itself remains stable. If we control Grey Falls and things escalate, frankly, that will not be enough of a situational control to matter. Evacuating one family out to the region to maintain eyes on Sinus's asset is one thing. Maintaining a sustained evacuation of the entire Great House and as many patricians and other members of the populace as we could, that is considerably larger project. Especially considering as we are not a house that has a fleet. Her eyes drift back over to Milan very pointedly for a moment. The idea of evacuating to the other side of the world and letting the Isle burn is not exactly one that I would... I confess it is one that has not... Oop. Sorry, cat.
Smoke beers at the scene.
She dropped her opium pipe.
No. It is a scenario that I must confess has had some purchase in my mind, but as flawed as this realm is, as much as I believe that many of my cousins, well, should change the statement. As much as I will be unbothered by many of my cousins meeting premature ends, there is enough of me that can't let this place go. There are too many people that I feel would be unfairly tossed into the jaws of the dragon.
It is still your home, and will always be.
She nods.
Matriarch, the reason I am suggesting possible evacuation is not everyone. Only those who are unable to fight, so that those who are left behind know that those are safe and can fight without any reservations.
Do you know what it means to fight in a total war, Angler?
I know what it means to try to defend your family. In a siege, what happens when the enemy attacks, it's not that they're going to kill everyone normally, it's that the people on the walls break and try to get their family out any way they can, knowing it's going to fail. But they break and leave, and that leads to total war. If we remove the non-combatants, everyone who stays will
We
fight
lose
like
the
10
economy.
I
We lose
know.
our logistical supply. We lose our food. We lose our trade. We lose everything. If we evacuate everybody who can't hold a sword, then we are not a house. We are a standing army without food, without supplies, and without hope.
No, there's always hope. You have not seen what I've seen in the 100 Kingdoms. It is better than I thought.
Regardless, the idea of keeping non-combatants safe is one that I understand, Angler. But the non-combatants are our backbone of our house. We are not a military house. If we leave them, then they're not here on the Isle to grind the grain, to harvest the food, to move the shipments, to defend, to scout, to support. An army can only survive off the support behind it. That is our role in this war to come. We are not going to be fighting. We are going to be behind the people with blades. That is the only way we're going to survive, because otherwise is to just run away. And we can't. We simply can't. There isn't a manner.
I understand. We are surrounded on all sides. It is hard for us to find a place of purchase.
The idea of an evacuation route is one that I am not going to turn down. But this is not a train of thought that I have left untouched. There is no way we are getting through this without having families be torn apart. It is a matter of choosing who, how, and where. And that is what is settling on the Conclave shoulders. We need to pick who we are going to be siding with, who we are going to be supporting, and who we believe is going to put us in the least damaged position at the end of this war.
Then Milan's proposal could only help us because it could show those who wish to possibly be on our side, and it will show those who will never be on our side.
Her eyes go back to Milan, now just Milan experiencing the kind of piercing all the way through gaze.
What what
No.
would I need to roll to like give an impression of I am very serious about this? I'm not being wishy-washy. I'm like
Probably
Some kinda presence.
charisma presence, probably.
okay. Ah, yes, the thing Milan doesn't have presence. It's fine.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
The impression Milan realizes is Milan's trying to like draw up the back and suck in the chest and just give this beacon of stability is you can see the frost in her eyes kind of melt slightly of just like, oh, you
As a
really believe
proper,
that the
Baby's
whole-
trying.
as a
You
proper
believe that-
scion of House Babyface, you're trying your best.
You believe this with your whole heart, don't you? Oh no.
So wait, I may have missed something here. Is both Milan and Angler's idea the evacuation?
Angler's big plan is the evacuation. Milan wants to just make this stop.
Milan wants to scream at Parliament.
Milan wants to say stop it. Angler is of the opinion that it will not stop and is trying to make the contingency plan of running away.
Yeah.
I guess the better argument for Milan is trying to delay this for as long as possible.
Yeah. But she just kind of gives a slightly wistful smile to Milan.
Um,
Oh.
Obsidian would actually speak up in sort of like an effort to support Milan's role. Which I guess would be a charisma socialized.
Charisma presence.
Of just saying, I know he's young, he's very young, and to say that he's idealistic is an understatement, but
He's so fucking young. We're looking at a real ass baby right here, all the way through.
But when he gets in front of people, he has a way with his words. He might not stop all of this from happening. In fact, there's 1 in a million chance that he would stop everything from happening. But at the very least, he'll get the thought in some people's heads that this is all ridiculous, and he'll probably prevent at least some damage.
Charisma presence 2 die stunt. Her gaze goes back to, Fisher, air quotes, before looking back to Milan. There is one thing I can say for the deliberative. It is that most of them are... How to put this? Far less effective at subterfuge than they believe they are. That is not to say you should underestimate them. There are plenty of knives in that conclave that I would say would be unforeseeable until they find their target. However, the sheer power of an earnest voice, unchallenged in the middle of the room, forcing a reckoning amongst themselves, would be a novel strategy. If nothing else, as you said, it would be a signal towards those in the houses with ties into the deliberative, where our houses would stand.
Sometimes the biggest thing a person with their head up their ass needs is somebody to tell them that they're being an idiot.
She gives a kind of, the feigned, I find that funny and I'm pretending that I'm slightly offended but allowing myself to laugh look. Looks back to Angler. You seem to have acquired rather wise counsel on your trips.
Those present are wise, yes.
You have my support. I will get one of our senators in the Deliberative's Greater Chamber to sponsor a bill involving... Well, the bill itself needs to be hashed out. I will ensure that they will be involved with whatever is drafted amongst yourselves and amongst the other senators you pool together for this motion.
Thank you. I will begin preparations in case things go well or not so well either way.
She briefly just looks up at the ceiling, closes her eyes, and thinking for a moment. you realize that it's going to take quite a bit of convincing of the merchantry and the patricians to forgive and forget the tit-for-tat trade war going on with House Fanif.
That's another part of why I want to have something set out in the 100 Kingdoms. What if we had a trade agreement with them that both of us would prosper from? And we could
Her
get
eye-
around House Sinis at the same time.
Her eyebrow raises as she looks at all three of you with an actual kind of smirk coming across her whole face. My word, you really have been considering this meeting for the whole trip back, haven't you?
I'll admit, I was frustrated when I was first left, but I think this trip has been good for everyone involved and for our house in general. And I apologize for any rudeness I might have shown to you before leaving.
Such outbursts are understandable from a young man of your age, especially in the circumstances that they were voiced in. And I will confess that perhaps the official response from the House was a little disproportionate. I will say that, however, the circumstances that it has led to, she just kind of throws up her hands a little bit, slightly, as she is holding the quill. Perhaps let's just say heaven has seen favorable circumstances around this situation.
Agreed. Anything else I can do for you, House Mother?
I will let you know with Infallible Messenger, the sorcerer's spell.
Yeah. He is also phrasing that in a way of, does she need me to do anything above or below board?
Right. I will let you know if there is anything official that I need you to do. Otherwise... She glances at Milan, Shield, and then Angler without saying a word. This is a do you trust them to not snitch situation.
Yeah, it's just a slow nod.
House Ladal has been acting rather curiously as of late on our border. On the northern border. Now, I can't officially say anything regarding sort of extraterritorial, perhaps unintended uses of free writs of transit across borders without notification of other members of the bureaucracy. Such things would be quite useful if they were accessible to members of our house to investigate oddities in our neighbors' activities, especially considering their puzzling silence regarding the statements made from Matriarch Nemen.
Anyone in particular we should contact about this?
We don't have any embedded forces on the other side of the border that I trust you enough to contact without blowing their cover.
I meant
Not
on
as
our
a
side.
Thanks for a moment.
Actually, is there anyone I would know?
Well, she was actually about to say, your associate Gon, I believe, would be a good start. He's usually the one who knows all the dirty work and the gossip.
Excellent. We can talk with him while we're at session. All right.
Now, do remember, of course, that this is all just the musings of a family member.
Angler stops, smiles for a second and goes to wherever the sideboard is and pours himself a drink and then starts sipping it as she continues. Of course, any news shared over drinks is among family.
She gestures a hand to Fisher and Milan to the sideboard as well.
Grabbing a drink.
Would Obsidian take one or no?
That would require taking the mask off, so no.
You can just hold it.
Angler points to the straws that are to the side.
I'll be alright. Thank you, though.
He does hand you a drink just to hold, though.
Yeah, she like you do that, but as you turn, you see that Ghazal has the first like genuine, is very entertained smile on her face of just like, he's smart, but he doesn't always get it. She just kind of waves a little hand dismissively of, it's fine. You may be on your way. I wish you a pleasant stay on the Isle, however long it may be.
Thank you. And will bow himself out of the room, as I also move myself away from the mic as I bow, because I'm an idiot.
Bow, leave.
The patrician servant just kind of closes the door behind.
Thank you.
Don't thank me yet. That's just the start.
It's gonna be a long few days.
I don't think you should be a part of any kind of, at least not any kind of physical work that with what you know what? Hold on a moment. I'll wait until we get on the cloud before any conversation.
At the mention of it's gonna be a long few days, you hear audible chuckle from Obsidian. Now he's stressed.
Now you're the one who doesn't like being here. Weird.
Now you live in a society.
Yeah.
Back to the Isle, and yeah, you're able to get outside of the city walls and pop onto the cloud for discussion.
Milan, I don't think you should be part of any kind of territorial concerns.
No, that is not my responsibility.
I think I'm going to have to talk with Yang. The two of us might have to do some work.
I, too, need to speak with Yang about something.
Oh boy.
Everybody gets to talk to Yang.
Actually, we should probably... You know, my wife probably has already grabbed him and is starting to groom him both metaphorically
Yang has
and
been
physically.
off camera for so long. Everyone is asking, where's Yang?
Yang has currently been conscripted into cleaning out the stables of the family estate.
Yeah, right.
You
Tira's
were,
gotta help.
you were asking for ways of helping, and well, you're going to be a lot faster than everybody else.
You are a wood aspect. That's kind of like your jam, is the horses and what have you.
It is actually, despite the
That's
stench,
insulting.
despite the stench, it is actually kind of soothing to just do work with your hands to support life rather than, the opposite.
Yeah, just be among
Oh.
horses for a bit.
It's still insulting to assume that someone is just naturally associated with horses.
Horse aspect.
Disgusting.
Impossible.
So, in the meantime, we got over to Repose, and then we'll get to the conversations with Yang, and then probably the capital after that.
Suppose who, while, walking along through solitary, unkempt nature, has already had time to go through the full cycle of first disappointment that no one else would like to be along with him on spiritual things, and acceptance of that, and then moving on to, all right, solitude is nice, yeah, privacy.
That old man shows up.
It's me and world and nothing else. Reaching for shoulder and finding warm, fuzzy rumbling, nothing else that is here to also be alone.
Cats are in a quantum state of being with you and alone, depending on
Not a
their
single intruder or interruption. Giving scratch on the chin, giving scratch over the nose.
just content per ear flick. So, the directions that you were given were to the north, towards Big Rock, up into where the foothills really start to become just heavy, just like very not barren, but very obviously mountainous terrain of, I guess it would just be foothills. I'm just thinking of like the chunks of ground that get smushed up a mountain when they start growing. That kind of growth up of suddenly going steeper and bumpier.
Yep. Proposes being very careful and deliberate about where he walks and where he climbs and where all he decides to move. All the while, you're making small incidental small talk with features of the terrain and bits of wildlife and so forth. In his usual manner.
Eventually, the landscape that you were indicated to go look for comes into view. It is a break from the rolling hills and rocky foothills into just jagged spikes of eroded rock. It is the karst of Grandmother Karst's terrain. It is a bunch of rock that resisted eroding when water came around and eroded the rest of the rock around it. It is just very spiky, pillory, kind of looks like it has the texture of a fur from a long distance until you get up closer, and it is just very irregular spikes. Most of them are about twice the height of a person. Some of them go higher than that, some of them go lower. The deeper into the landscape you get, the taller they get. And yeah, it is starting to get a little colder as the elevation is rising, and Earth is starting to pump up against air's usual terrain, and air is just like, well, this is the big rock in the middle. You do earn this.
Only the strongest rock survives.
The meeting place that you were indicated to go towards is a cleft in the ground, as Repose would know both through dirt knowledge and general awareness of the spirituality of this, is Dirt Boss. The higher rank of Dirt Boss you are, the lower below ground you are. Dirt Bosses don't usually go up unless it is the mountain.
Yes.
So
and that is a case if you have brought the depths beyond the surface, the biggest dirt flex of all. To upheave.
It is a small cave system in a cleft in the ground that is open and has a couple of cairns and standing stone formations on the outside as just kind of notifications of like, hey, this is not just a cave to wander into. Be properly respectful or, have your affairs sorted kind of signaling. Of course, Repose, being an earth aspected monk, knows exactly how to be approaching this and, gives the proper signs, ablution, greetings at the threshold.
Repose leaves a small, simple lamp that he probably assembled overnight at the cave entrance and sets it alight just as a beacon.
It takes about 5-10 minutes of walking down into the cave. Enough time for ambient light from the mouth of the cave to kind of completely vanish. The only real bits of light being anything that you brought in, and the glinting of Moat's eyes in the darkness as they kind of casually scan around. And sharing Moat's senses means that you can see a whole hell of a lot better than your normal eyes can.
Yeah, I propose we'll go off of Cat's eyes to whatever depth that becomes inconvenient, and then the switch up will be to then just ignite his anima lightly and travel by his own personal radiance.
Yep. That is like literally at the threshold of lighting where you have to ignite your anima to see is where you get your first messenger to greet you. It is a small crystalline, for lack of a better term, spider, but it's more just kind of a collection of needly crystalline bits in a roughly, legs and body shaped mass. It appears to be made of some sort of I don't know actually how this is pronounced out loud. Rutile?
Rutile. Or
Yeah,
rutilated.
Rutilated quartz. It's just very kind of dappled orange rutilated quartz. And it is has two of the limbs up near the front of the body, just kind of held up as though it was waiting with its steepled hands. And as you approach and the light kind of casts upon it and starts glittering in the dark, and Moat's eyes immediately dilate to the size of dinner plates at the light show, it taps and scratches out a very brief message in the ground, in the dust, in Old Realm of repose?
A nod, a bit of a, meditative drone. And then once he is, established the appropriately neutral state of body, just a very quietly whispered fair seasons, cousin.
Same you. Grandmother, wait further. Follow. Pause, please. The messenger turns around and skitters away at
Lead,
a fairly,
please.
fairly kind of brisk pace. Not one that requires you to jog, but certainly one that is not used to... How fast do humans move again? Oh, whatever, I'll just go. So, the small crystalline spider creature leads you further down into the caves, as now that you are underground near the Imperial Mountain, still hundreds of miles away, this whole place is just thrumming with Ursa essence. You feel like you are, and quite possibly are, standing literally in the middle of a ley line. This entire place is just it makes your teeth itch levels of ambient essence. You are walking into a domain.
And want to attune all of these rocks. Do not have enough hands to pet every rock.
It is a just deeply pleasant experience as you attune to the general vibe of the place, not in a way that claims ownership, just more aligning your essence to feel it. Makes it feel like there is just a symphony of tuning forks going off in the walls and rocks around you. And you can feel bits and clusters of crystal and gem embedded deep within the walls, not, coming out and visible, but, just kind of around. And roll me Wits Occult at that.
So how many Oswalds we got in here?
God.
You're at 4.
You remember of the teachings. You've never met one in person, as you generally don't. You remember the teachings of some of the highest ranking elementals below the dragons, like the lesser dragons, not, Pasiop and, are the Gem Lords. They are literally just kind of sapient cave systems that have gems that serve as their organs and eyes. This feels like the very outside traces of one. Like, this feels like why the vibe is so intense is that this is the outer edge of an enormous elemental. You are also pretty damn certain that is not the elemental you are meeting. That is several boss ranks above what you would be cordially invited to go talk to on no notice. This is... You are inside the body of local precinct boss, and are
Oh.
going to be talking to local talks to humans boss.
Yeah, there will be all due quietly whispered regards to the house as he is moving into it.
There is a kind of very, very slight shift in the resonance of acknowledgement of your presence, but certainly not a not a disrespect back, but more along the lines of, yeah, I got it. Message received. Appreciated. Just a distant acknowledgement of, oh yeah, tiny dragon light is in the body and just said hello. I suppose the polite thing to do is acknowledge its existence and let it know that I will not squish it for its impropriety.
The hatchling is waving at you. It's just happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. As you are inside, the first real defiance of not the natural way of things, as, the elementals dictate the natural way of things, but the usual way that landscapes shape themselves according to the dictates of heaven or the elemental planes themselves, is clearly a little fluid when it is outside of the eyes of heaven, and also the elementals are holding their own direct court so they can do whatever they damn well please. The karst formations from outside that were poking up out of the ground now have extended all the way into this hollow beneath the earth and are now immense jagged pillars that are networking between themselves like an immense lattice. The stone also is now full of what appears to be ruby, as an interwoven system of veins that dapple through the rock itself like a system of veins or blood. And you immediately, upon seeing this probably 40 foot by 40 foot by 40 foot rock formation, that's Rock Boss. That's Grandmother Karst. That is the body of this elemental, is that rock formation. There is a silence as you approach briefly, and Repose is not actually sure if Karst has noticed his presence or not.
Well, Repose is going to settle in then and wait to be acknowledged. Because it is also the case in character that Repose sought this out on some level expecting to be turned away. So the fact that he is in here at all is already a victory, and he doesn't have any further gifts to offer. He doesn't have any requests to make. He's just happy to be here.
How long does it take for Karst to notice that Repose exists? Not actually all that long. It's about 5 minutes, which Moat, through the sheer presence of Repose being perfectly stock still and the emotional tenor between them, you get the sensation that Moat wants to go climb the big scratching posts, and immediately just gets the vibe of, okay, bad idea then, I'll wait. And about 5 minutes or so, there is a sudden tremor through the earth that makes Moat jostle out of the brief micro nap that he had fallen into. It would classify as an actual earthquake level of tremor, but it is very brief.
Repose will actually take Moat off of the shoulder and hold him firmly in his lap while he is seated here on the cave floor.
Young Repose, the name was, I believe. The visitor from beyond the shore. I welcome you to the mountain of Passia.
Such is my styling, madam, and such as at present the land I know is home. And it is good to be welcomed so near to the presence of the Father of Fathers.
Tell me, little one, which lands do you call home?
Just immediately to the question that bites deep.
Yeah, in
On the
character, Karst
pavement.
doesn't know how to be. Karst does not know what Karst just asked. I do.
Sad vibrations.
Rootless, perhaps. I apologize. I sensed your grounded nature and presumed much. Regardless, while you were on the land of Pasiop, regardless of what your mortal kin will say, this land welcomes you. Moat, in the silence between the two entities that are very used to long pauses, careful thought, and silence, very slowly and carefully begins to approach the big stone scratching post, giving it a gentle sniff of apprehension. Slowly reaches out the paw, puts it on the rock.
Yeah, proposes he's kind of just giving, an intense inward think about the subject there.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of allows the the tiny cautious impositions of the kitten to be a fine indicator of the general vibe here.
Mm-hmm. Like, Moat slowly kind of puts up another paw, digs in the claws, pulls up a little bit, pulls up onto a ledge, pauses, jumps up again, realizes that either Karst doesn't notice Moat exists or doesn't care, and immediately just goes, okay, how high can I get on this? And just starts climbing.
And
There
at
is-
that bit of fine inspiration from the wisdom of beasts, proposes found the words he is willing to continue with of something along the lines of, if this, the most blessed of lands, can see fit to forgive the occasional negligence of the present generations of my farther kin, then it is not so terrible to endure their company. Repose probably would pick a much more heavily blended word than terrible, but it comes across through the appropriate layers of Earth culture of just how do you are you okay, Island?
Your view is longer than the mortals who have not been gifted the blood of the dragon. It is still a remarkably truncated view compared to those of the earth itself. The improprieties of those who dwell here are of little ultimate concern. It is within the mandate of heaven that the chosen shall guide creation in their own ways, so long as they also respect the mandates of heaven's gods and the terrestrial below. You are from beyond the Isle, and your words indicate that you are not one of the members of the Dragon's Blood that viewed the red-haired woman with particular divinity.
Extremely kind of the host to offer up being the first to call her redness as anything less than the name she thinks she deserves. And there will be kind of an audible like sound of stone preparing to move dangerously from repose in response to that, just a bit of a formality. Hey, do you mind if I just kind of, vent? If I just kind of.
Hatchling, I have heard profanities that would sear the ears from your flesh. Whatever complaints that you wish to put upon me will wash off as though the rain from the stone it cannot carry. Unburden yourself, little stone.
There will be a bit of a very prolonged and sharp inhalation from repose, just like going on to, well, that's, the heroes do breathe like that. Extent, and then, well, if you invite, I will oblige, and then it begins.
There's like a rumbling that actually shakes the earth of laughter.
And Repose will start to actually just recount an appropriately scaled just tale of his lineage since Praise's day. Probably beginning from the hook of, well, since the Red Lieutenant came inland to inspect the grounds and begin her most vigilant, diligent, and imperious counting of her many eggs. and carrying on in that manner of having just like, all right, there are so many manifold layers of emotional barricades Repose has up to not be as sassy as he can with other living things who he respects in principle, if not in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And just
respect,
like, okay,
self-preservation if nothing else.
But okay, this grandma, this great aunt has given me permission to cuss, and so here we go.
I'm gonna use all the swears.
All the good swears from the old country.
What do you have in your hands, Repose? Fuck. All right.
Hell yeah, kid. Yeah. So yeah, just going on about the lineage of Gently
go on
Whispered
for
Praise.
a while about just about the sect and what they've been up to and how they have been going.
Cursed
this can carry on for some time.
Cursed does not really interrupt much. Like, maybe a couple of clarifying questions here or there, but just honestly was being sincere about unburden yourself. And listens for the entire period of time of discussion before Repose either begins to run out of breath or it starts to hit near the end of the story. And pauses. I cannot say personally whether I know whether the Vigil has visited us since your ancestors' departure. But what I can say, of course, in the privacy of family speaking to family, Yushan is considerably more strict about the measures against veneration of the departed than you will find even us on the Isle. Of course, that does not mean that you should question them about such matters, especially above where the sun can see, but largely such opinions are imposed by the Order rather than our own personal opinions on the matter. As for our opinions of the red-haired woman, that is a much more diverse topic depending on how much given parties personally benefited from her patronage. This close to the mountain, we had very little that she could offer, so she did not bother. Out in the fields, in the air, in the bay, in the hearths. It is curious to me that all elements beyond her own were so willing to kowtow to her. Perhaps it is because she understood her own well enough to realize that the arrangement that she arrived at was acceptable to both parties. There is another kind of rumble of contemplation. It has come to my attention from the more active of my children that she has gone missing. Appears to be actually searching for confirmation on that.
Oh, yes, that has been said among her brood.
And apparently with a higher intensity and fervor than usual, rumor has suggested that by the time her previous absences had reached my presence, she had already reappeared and asserted whatever little plan that she was constructing. The fact that she has been gone for so long and so little has reached the bones of the earth itself is of mild concern, if nothing else for being new for the red-haired woman. Regardless of her appearances, little hatchling, never let it be thought that she was anything less than as deliberate and meticulous as any of your blood. She was merely exceptionally good at doing so faster. The absence of her stability, it kind of catches itself. The stability that she imposed upon her squabbling children is of frankly no concern to the brood beneath the mountain. They can burn the entire isle down to the ground, expose all the rocks and water it with their blood, and it will not affect us in the slightest. And yet, I am no fool enough to believe that such events would mean that heaven would not get involved, and there are many on the Isle that have gotten quite used to the audits that were once so common becoming distractible. I have no love for the red-haired woman, and I have less love for most of her children. There are, of course, a few exceptions. Not all of her blood are as impious as those that are loudest. There are those that would have the same respect as you, young hatchling, though I dare say I have not met them in person. What I can say is that while in the abstract, I care for nothingness in terms of the welfare of the dragon's brood above. One cannot expect a bridge to stay standing long with the keystone missing. And I believe it would, in fact, be in ultimately the best interests of the courts, Earth and otherwise, if that bridge remained standing. Or, failing that, if it collapsed in an orderly fashion. Of course, these are all simply the opinions of an elderly member of the Earth with no stake in the matter, no blood to spill. Certainly not the words of my own superiors, or my superiors' superiors. It does make me grow curious, though. And there is actually a sudden imposition, slowly, of a sense of psychic pressure and weight from all sides of the room. Your sect gives venerance to Sol Invictus, the Unconquered, whose children have returned. It is of great surprise to me that such volatile things had not made their appearance known on the Isle as of yet. Over the years, of course, the ones that were not sealed away by Mela have occasionally appeared upon the Isle and were quickly dealt with by the Immaculates, but I am curious as to whether or not your reverence for the sun has given you insight as to the Unconquered's motivation.
Sad rumbles. Sad rumbles for a time, and then I cannot presume to know my master's will. But if in his mercy he has found it to forgive mankind's betrayal of his first gift of his light, and if in his wisdom he has found some way to better reveal his radiance to those souls among these fleeting mortal things that would best express his glory, then he propose really doesn't want to finish any further sentences
Trailing
there, and
off
just
and-
kind of recoils from that and then falls back into, if they will fight, then let them fight. If they will fail, then let them fail. Regardless, life will find a way. And settle into praising the names of the dragons and so forth.
You carry a heavy burden on your shoulders, hatchling. Though you may venerate the unconquered, you must remember that you are not the unconquered. You are of the earth, not of the sun. This is not a judgment against you or for you. None of us can claim to know the will of the sun if it is not dictated to us, for his majesty is beyond our scope of ability to understand. I asked in the vain hope that perhaps he would have reached out to such devoted members of his cult upon creation. The fact that he has remained silent does not surprise me. Subtext, it does disappoint me.
You're responding subtext, same. Boss, why don't you? I know it's because you are who you are. You don't give order. Could you just ever give an order, though? Could you make a statement about anything?
Boss, meanwhile,
Like, the subtext here for Earth Grandma is like, hey, there's about to be an explosion on the sacred isle of the Mandate of Heavens, and you worship the sun. Has he said anything about this? No. What the fuck?
meanwhile, with the sun. Wait, there's going to be an explosion down there?
It's gonna be a what? On the where? Wait, who's in charge?
Why didn't anyone tell me about this?
But Karst just kind of settles the rumbling slightly. The pressure eases off. This is not your home, hatchling, and this is not your family, except by distant blood and the elements that bind. The hearth you have and the connections you have made seem to have deeper roots upon this land. The darkness that you and yours have fought against in the East have only remained there through your efforts, and the efforts of those like you. Throughout history, back to the Great Contagion and before. I fear that such vigilance at the borders of creation will not fit to prevent such vileness from taking hold upon the isle itself. I am in no position to impose will upon you, nor am I of a particular desire. But if there is a request that I could make, a consideration on behalf of one of Pasiap's children. Do not grow blind to the threats of the world beyond the walk that you have walked. What you face in the east may affect the center, and what affects the center may affect the east, and the north, south, west, above and below. I fear that if it is the sun's will that his chosen be returned, that the sun has seen a dire threat upon the horizon that requires their presence. And if his chosen have returned somehow without his own consent or blessing, well, you're a quick hatchling. I don't need to particularly spell out what that could imply. It is my wish that you maintain your vigil. But it is also my wish that this is in character this long a pause. I fear what has happened in heaven when the sun turned its face away from creation. The greatest threats may not solely be the threats that you have been trained to see. Little hatchling, there may come a day where you have to turn against those that you considered ally. And there may come a day where you decide that remaining with your allies is preferable to what duty mandates of you. This is something that I would prefer you dwell upon rather than have it be a surprise decision, as, after all, you have our blood. That is not our strength. Then, out of character, Karst has stopped talking for the moment.
Yeah, I'm supposed to just kind of quietly ruminating. He has finished releasing all of the bile related to other things and is now just kind of receptive and contemplative and just, yeah.
Find what your heart finds to be your keystone, the true rock upon which you will not move. It may be the one that you believe it is now. It may be something else entirely. But that is the rock upon which you must plant your feet. For soon, I feel creation will try to move you from it. As it will try to move all of us. Little one, I have not had such a liberating conversation in at least 400 years. I must thank you.
Pleasant vibrations. Pleasant, warm, vibrations at a...
I must also ask, what is this odd prickling sensation upon the outside of my shell. As you look up, as Moat has finally claimed victory of literally the highest spot possible and wedged himself into the tiniest crevice against the roof of the cave, like, got it!
This is victory.
I have the highest spot, therefore I win.
I propose we'll just kind of give a very officious and practiced bit of a shrug and a sigh, and then just a friend.
Well, a friend of yours, Hatchling, is a friend of Arclade.
And then Big Rock shall pet the kitty.
Brunch. No!
Strength of 5 Godzillas.
I shall, of course, leave out many of the details of our conversation from the more conservative of my siblings and matriarchs. But I shall be certain to let them know that a certain hatchling from beyond the shores is, should it be relevant, a trustworthy ear.
To any voices of the All-Mother who wish it, I am your confidant.
Roll me a read intentions, actually.
Ah, yes, that thing that Repose is very not at all good at. Hell yeah.
Also on a pile of rocks.
Gonna look at those rocks. There's 2. Since this is important, let's go ahead and volunteer willpower to 3 that.
When you mentioned the All-Mother, there is a sudden, deep, sad wistfulness. None of that came up when you mentioned any of the dragons. The moment that you invoked Gaia, there was a sudden, oh.
Oh no.
There's a sudden kind of realization. You have made no transgression, hatchling. The All-Mother's wanderings in search of the shining answer beyond have been far too long for many of our preferences of seeing our mother. And that's the question of, does Repose know what that means? Has that
Does
been
Repose
mentioned?
know what that means?
Yeah, that is, roll me Intelligence Occult to know if the Vigil actually knows about
Let's
Gaia
roll
not being
Intelligence, Occult, and all of the dice. And yeah, that 1, 6, or for Occult it's 10's reroll non or something.
Non.
There's a bonus die in there.
on successes, I
Of
believe.
just kind of internally Repose, panic, skimming through all doctrine that he knows.
So, Shining Answer is a giant what the fuck does that mean? But the concept of Gaia just not being around and not interacting with anybody has been alluded to very briefly. Like, the tradition of the vigil is after the sun, kicked the hell over the rest of the primordials, that Gaia kind of retreated into mourning and then just never came back up in the stories again. The assumption was, well, she must have come back at some point. But maybe she didn't. maybe she went out for a smoke break or a grievance or to find whatever the shining answer, whatever the fuck means, and
The actual
has been gone since the sun took the chair.
the actual highest expression of the elements altogether, the core soul of the Titan Gaia, the Emerald Mother, a separate thing from all of the dragons. Yeah, it's just not around.
Yeah. There's also would Repose react visibly to this? How would Repose react mentally to this?
With how important this is, yes, there would be visible reaction of just kind of what?
Oh dear.
A bit of intermingling, the concern, and then there's like a currently suppressed layer of outrage that is waiting to erupt at what did humanity just forget to write this down as well? Did the revisionists and the iconoclasts and all of the other factions of scholarly people that Propose doesn't like just decide to omit from record that Mom left?
Oh dear. I may have presumed, due to your sect's proximity to the Unconquered, that would have remained in your knowledge. I would request that you keep that to yourself. That is information that is not meant for the ears of creation.
Propose is tearing up a bit and just laying on the ground. He will need a moment.
I am very sorry, small one. The All-Mother is not gone. I confess I know little, though clearly I know more than you, and upon witnessing Repose actually just lying on the ground and crying a little bit, does not say it, clearly feels morally obligated to, I need to tell you all of this to make you feel better, or
Oh,
just
no,
at
baby.
least I fucked this up really bad. I need to give you more context.
Oh no, I gave the baby anxiety.
The All-Mother, upon the ascension of the Unconquered, proclaimed that she sought a shining answer, and upon interrogation of what that answer was, or perhaps the question, did not reply, at least to any, perhaps the Unconquered and the others of the Incarna. She has returned to creation briefly since, but never for long. She will maintain the world. She will visit her peers. But she appears driven. And she will inevitably return out beyond the borders. Perhaps to protect, perhaps to seek. Her will is beyond even the dragons. The only information that we know is that she is not here. We do not know when she will come back. And when she is here, we do not know if we will wake up the next morning and she will be gone. The All-Mother still protects, child. The All-Mother is still here, but she is not here. There's what can only be described as an awkward shifting of rocks noise as the rock creation kind of just shifts a tiny bit. Dry your tears, little hatchling. Gaia is present in the blood of all of the chosen, in all the elementals across creation, of all of the essence that flows through the world. That Gaia herself, in the form that she can approach and speak, is not here. It is like saying that your family is not with you, even though you carry their bones. They are with you, but they are not with you. Do you understand?
Repose has been steadily processing it and has largely also followed along those lines. Just letting Karst speak for him on this as it continues, but eventually just quietly starting to reestablish his usual outward composition. It sits back up and waits. And after some amount of just starting to get all of who he is back into alignment, whatever else befalls, we hold the line.
That we do, hatchling. And from every tale you have told, you and your lineage have done a magnificent job. Moat begins to descend the large lattice of rocks and ruby down to Repose, kind of like, hey, I missed an emotion moment. I'm sorry. I was kind of like 50 feet off the ground and I didn't really want to jump 5 stories down. You doing okay? Just kind of headbutt against your knee.
Reassuring pat. Put him back up on the shoulder. Bit of an it's fine. Was in the process of getting ready to look like none of the last couple hours just happened. As it is clearly about time to leave.
If in no other court, hatchling, you have an ally among me and mine. Your little life, the strength of your heartbeat in such a small span. It has been some time since I have seen such things. They remind me of better days. You are always welcome in my court.
Repose will give quiet thanks to that, and then after an appropriate, finishing off of his usual, no, this time for sure, it's fine.
Mhm.
Restabilizing, recomposing. You'll just kind of completely divert from all of that to the subject of... Oh yes, the one more thing that, as has been mentioned earlier, I am rebuilding a temple which was lost to the hands of the enemy.
Hmm?
Well, and such an act should be subject to a dedication greater than merely that of my own name, as stands at present. Would you happen to know anyone who would have interest in
Why-
becoming a sponsor of,
Little monk, are you attempting to bribe me? You are certain that if she had a face anywhere on her physical body, it would have a giant shit-eating grin right now.
if you would call yourself an ally of my line, how could I say that you are anything less than welcome in the halls which we protect?
And if you would be so grateful as to my hospitality as to spread the word of my charity and, well, speak well of me in your own ways as humanity does, wherever it may be. Far be it from me to stop someone from saying kindnesses in my name.
All right, I feel there will be some more layers of boilerplate deniable. Well, we're not saying we're doing this.
I'm not
dialogue.
setting up a cult for you, but I'm setting up a cult for you.
And then there's just like conveniently on the way out, Repose will notice, that's just a very nice rock that I could use.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at this suspiciously nice chunk of ruby inlaid rock that accidentally fell off of my body. Oops.
Oh, look at that. Bounties of the earth. How strange. Wouldn't want to squander this.
Did anyone else get a feeling over our Hearth connection that Repose went from having a very emotional moment to massive shit-eating grin?
Yeah, just calm, respectful, deep veneration, furious venting, tragic emotional moment, shit-eating grin, all in the span of about an hour and a half.
That's a 3-course meal I'm familiar with.
Don't think about your absentee progenitor. Think about cool rocks. Think about the kick-ass house you're gonna build with this cool rock.
It doesn't matter.
Don't think that Grandma went out for a smoke break and never came home.
Came back home occasionally, but didn't speak to the grandkids.
Well, what's that? A situation that calls for a wood frenzy. Don't mind if I do. Just gonna
Nod my
stack
head.
rocks on rocks.
Nod in my head. Yep. makes
Gonna
sense.
disassociate and just slap rocks together for about 30 hours at this point, however long it's been at Dugheim.
Way longer than that, dog.
Hurt stuff.
Yeah, it has been longer than that. I haven't checked again recently.
Oh, I'll show you after this.
Oh god. No, I
The
saw...
mountain stands tall and pristine and resolute until one day it just kind of collapses into dust, and then a new mountain is there, and it's fine. Don't
It's
worry
cool.
about it.
The Mountain of Theseus. Who's Theseus? Don't worry about it.
Meanwhile, somewhere in the realm, a Dynast has the brilliant idea of, I got it. I'll take the big gun and shoot the mountain. Then everyone will respect me and make me your big boss.
Several gem lords want to know your location. So that is one of the things that I will take a brief nodding character aside as we kind of transition back to the group getting back together, heading back to the Imperial City. Of one of my favorite bits of second edition text that I have read so far is relating to those elementals, because they are like, when I said that they were sapient cave systems, I mean like literally hundreds to thousands of square miles of sapient cave system. And in the section about, every elemental in the write-ups has a section about summoning it, and the Gem Lord one basically starts with, "Are you out of your mind? It is a cave. What are you doing?"
The notes are provided of someone once insisted on trying to summon a Gem Lord and nothing remains.
Yeah, it's something along the lines of a scion of House Nemen misread one of their summoning books and crushed their entire estate with a very upset Gem Lord. And they said that the other way around it is to walk into the center of it and attempt to bind it with the summoning ritual while standing inside of it. This is usually a spectacularly stupid move, as they have their entire armed guard around them, not interested in having their boss get mind controlled, but you can try.
You will get trampled by deer unless you first conspired to get the deer on your side.
Because the
betray
deer are
their
being
boss.
mind controlled.
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Yes. But yeah, so it is closing in on the end of the evening by the time Repose has managed to get back to the estate, while, the rest of the others get back to the estate. And now is about the time for several people wanted to have private conversations with both Yang and also Cascade. So, there are several conversations queued up on this.
Full-on conversation will happen back in the Imperial City when we're in the location of
the sneak hut.
Yes, in location of map room.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So,
What are we doing, huh?
I was just bringing up that soon will be the Milan and Yang in the map room conversation. I was also double checking and seeing if anybody else wanted to chime in. I know Crumb wanted to speak with Cascade before leaving. Crumb is also muted and may have stepped away during the.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm just letting people step in.
And just double checking on Newbie. Did you have any conversations you want to have? Doesn't seem like it. And Old Man is still on the boat regarding the skyline.
More or less waiting for anyone to show back up.
Yeah. Actually, give me, while you are out there in the Imperial City right now, let me double check your sheet real quick. Give me a perception lore with your astrology roll.
Okay. Perception. Good thing everything else about this is great.
Yeah, all the rest of this is your specialty, except seeing shit.
Botch.
Oh dear!
Glaucoma, huh?
Nice.
You want to spend a willpower to make that not a botch, or you want to roll with that?
No, I'll just roll with it.
Interesting.
Alright. A botch on the astrology roll. What would you get? You know what? A botch on the astrology roll means that you see absolutely nothing out of the ordinary in the sky, and that everything is going to be completely normal for the next couple of days, and you don't need to worry about anything.
Oh, that's good. By the way, I don't have any conversations.
Old Man looks at the sky and gets objective confirmation from the stars themselves that everything is going to be fine. Nothing weird is going to happen.
That is good news.
Multiple planets are conjoining in constellations that signify strife and terror. No, that's fine. That's good luck, actually.
Mars grows an entire middle finger and a hand just pointing out towards Saturn, and the Old Man is just nodding his head like, yeah, that's cool.
That's normal.
Old man staring directly into a blood moon. This is fine.
So, I believe that does leave us with Angler's discussion with the family first.
It's only going to be with
Cascade?
Cascade. Yeah, the Angler wants to have a nice long time with his kids, but he knows that it's not the time for that, so he is going to find Cascade.
Okay. Cass is still in the estate, back actually kind of in the bedroom at the moment, doing some reading before the end of the night.
Okay. He is going to knock at the door before entering, and then close it behind him.
Okay. She looks up and gently closes the book and puts it on her end table. And without saying anything, just quietly regards.
Angler's going to move in and intentionally let all of the phosphorescent essence around his markings and everything just fully glow and sit down and say, all right, it's time I told you everything. And from the beginning, he will tell her everything about dust, blood, the clay fight, all of that stuff. He's not going to tell who Old Man is per se, but mostly the important parts of all of the anathema.
Mm-hmm.
I
She's
want
just-
you to know exactly what you're getting into.
Remind me, out of character, is Angler's proper name Sasha, or is that with the grandfather?
It is Sasha. It's his grandfather's also his name Sasha. It's his surname, or it's part of his ancestry.
Sasha, I would have appreciated you telling me this before I didn't have a choice.
Ren, I didn't trust any forms of communication, even the mirror I used to talk to you earlier.
You're throwing me and our daughters into the jaws of anathema, and while you have so far dealt with them from flying colors, as far as you are telling me, we didn't have a say in the matter.
I know. I am sorry. But they need your help.
She looks at you, and you can see the question in her eyes before she says it, but she still says it anyway. How much of this is for us, and how much of this is for you?
Who do you mean when you say us?
The family.
For our daughters? Everything. I
At
might
least
have
you're-
been homesick, but I'm not stupid.
You're honest enough to admit that I wasn't in that equation, and that's what I wanted to hear.
The primary equation, yes. But I truly do believe you can help them.
I know. I know you do.
It's a bit
Right.
awkward
You're-
music.
Your monk friend. The one
Yes.
with the ghosts, right?
Yes.
If I die because of you, I'm going to go to him and I'm going to ensure that I am going to haunt you, and then I will haunt your ghost, and I will follow you through the cycle of reincarnation, and I will haunt every single body that you get back into, from a worm on up to a dragon itself. Do you
I'll
understand?
introduce you to his grandmother. You'll have a much better way that time. Actually, I think the two of you will get along splendidly.
Oh, really? How hard she hit you then?
Physically, not at all.
Okay, I see what you mean.
The matriarch is scared.
I know.
This is beyond basic scared.
I know. I've talked to her while you were gone. We don't have any options unless we find somebody with a bigger army than we do. All
And
we are
because
is
of that,
a purse for somebody to split open.
that might already be happening, and I'm going to take care of it.
No, you won't. We will.
Not before they're on the boat.
Fine.
That won't take long.
But you're not leaving me out of this anymore.
Of course not. You know this place better than I do, and we're going to need your help. It's not going to be a big group, though. Some of them can't be there, and some of them shouldn't.
Oh, like the feral dog that came through the window?
No, he'll be coming with us. At least I'll ask him to.
She actually, just kind of breaks her forced composure. It's just like, him? Why?
If we want to do this quietly, there's no one better.
Are you sure about that?
He said he was House Excelsi, and he acted like a feral animal. How do you think he's been alive this long? He's very, very good.
I suppose.
Besides, I don't think you trust him to be alone with anyone else in our family. It's better you keep an eye on him and teach him some manners.
Oh, that's fool's errand. Might as well try pushing a rock up Mount Meru.
A long pause at that. I think it would help more than you think. He's never had a real family, and I think something about ours could help. I'm not saying we're going to make him perfect, but I think it might help him more than you'd expect.
So the broken little boy act isn't an act then.
I don't think it is, and I don't think it isn't. That's the problem.
Ah.
He's a Celsi, whatever else he says. He's been damaged before. No. He never had a chance to be damaged. He was broken before it started. And that's just not fair.
Oh, Sasha, you do know a way to my heart. Spite. She just kind of turns around with a slight smile. Fine. If you see so much good in him, then I'll try to treat him the same way.
I just hope I'm right. One last thing, though. I need to get it. I'm going to the capital, and that means I need to get cleaned up. Do you know where she hid my gear? The matriarch.
Oh, I already stole it back. It's in the basement.
Thank you. Wait, did the cat...
No.
Has anyone
Has anyone what?
seen it?
She just smiles.
Oh no. I need to go talk to Yang, and he will leave. Stop, pause, and then a very deep bow, and leave.
Take
without-
care of yourself, dear.
Yeah, I know. He's going to go find Yang.
Yang would probably be finishing up cleaning the stables by now. And it is like all of them, actually. So, probably still in the Yakuman outfit, has mucked out the stables, is putting a pitchfork away. Smells like literal shit, but
You know, I think there was a parable about this once.
There probably was.
some trial of somebody or another doing this. Whatever.
Where'd you come from?
I had a wonderful chat with some members of my household, and there's trouble brewing. I might need your help for it.
Do you want me to kill someone?
I don't want you to kill someone yet, but I want you to keep an eye on my back while I figure out what happened.
So, just bodyguard stuff?
Kind of like what you did in the Imperial City.
Where I shot someone in the back and then ran away?
Except just keeping an eye. Yeah, I know, but just staying hidden and waiting for your moment.
Okay.
Just shoot somebody and run away.
Yes.
So we are going to do a kill. That we're going to go do a hit then, huh?
I hope not. I hope we can solve it without doing it,
Why
without
are you
killing.
Assassin.
Because you're better at this than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Also, I think my wife has taken a liking to you, so she wants
You
to chat today.
fucking liar.
I hope that's not true because that's concerning if the case. I have enough mothers already.
Well, you might get one more.
Johnny 5 moms over here.
Wow, Yang, why do you get 5 moms?
The
No
batting
respect.
average on well-adjusted moms in Yang's house is not very high. Fuck.
Also, you smell terrible. I know a lake nearby you can clean up at. Would you... And actually, when he says that, he completely stops. Where the hell is Obsidian?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
What-
just realized something.
What am I, my brother's keeper?
Mm,
In a stable.
we will come back. Nope, never mind. Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right, I'll be here. Well, no, I'm not going to be here. I'm done with this. Probably go get the bar or something. I don't know.
Yeah. This just popped in my head. Angler's going to go find Milan and Obsidian.
Where would that be?
We're in another room playing mahjong.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, they're like in the main building in one of the
We are
sides.
teaching his kids to play mahjong.
Yeah! The two of them are teaching the Ursula and Polaris to play Mahjong.
Oh, no.
You're never gonna win another game of Mahjong.
Never going to win.
Why would you inflict this curse upon your brother's family to continue to propagate the disease, Mahjong?
Mahjong has never proven to be good for any human purpose.
There's
Also,
never been a single human benefit to playing mahjong.
there's a
Milan,
moment of you walking in and being like, "Wait, what are you doing? Wait, Obsidian, you know how to play mahjong? What?"
This is a game often played by the elderly. Why are you teaching it to these two?
They gotta start early.
Yes, okay. He's gonna pause, just realizing the years of pain that they have inflicted upon him. Accept it. Young ladies, as soon as you finish trouncing these two, it's off to bed.
All right, Dad.
And he's going to wait patiently-ish for that to happen.
that's not going to take very long. Both me and Obsidian are both under 10,000 points.
Okay.
At
Yeah.
some point, one of them gets fucking chi toy with all honors.
It is a combination of both Milan and Obsidian are tanking a bit, but then Polaris just gets a stupid hand out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh, well, you would have won anyway. Huh.
Happens with mahjong sometimes. There's
So,
no
yeah.
benefit to the human spirit.
Like,
You pick the correct person to have luck, too. It would be her.
Yeah.
Ursula assembles the weed hand.
Ursula kept going for Big Green and just couldn't make it happen, and Polaris just accidentally stumbles into like a double Ricci.
I mean, that's the only way that you stumble into double Ricci.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double
give it-
Ricci, by definition, is a very lucky hand.
Yep.
That's what happens with children.
But
All
yeah,
right.
they immediately are both, thank, Uncles Fisher and Vanif for the teaching them the new game, and then go upstairs with one of the nannies to get
I
up
think
to
I was
the-
introduced to the family as Obsidian.
Oh, yeah, right. You were to the family directly. You are Obsidian. So yeah, Uncle's
Yes.
Obsidian.
The matriarch, no.
Yes.
And then later on in the next couple days, you two are going to ride on clouds. So have fun with that.
And they're immediately like almost bouncing off the walls as the nanny just gives
You
you
fool.
Why did
You absolute moron.
And he's like, I work hard enough, you asshole. Look.
I haven't been here in 6 months. I had to do it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And
But-
that should distract them long enough. I need you two to come with me to the nearby lake.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So, Obsidian, remember that connection you have with Onyx?
Hmm.
We're going to make a absolute, positively, never going to use it unless we really, really need to backdoor back to your ship. Because I know where a ley line is.
The silence is in character.
I know. I don't want to use it, but we need to know it's here in case we have to.
All right.
All right, yes, or all right.
No,
like
no,
we
no,
come to a
no.
decision?
No, this is out of character. What do I have to roll to fight against my own resolve?
So hang on. You redefine that. So you
Obsidian would be outrageously split on this, like ridiculously, to the sense of
a social attack by Angler against Obsidian's defenses.
yes.
So Angler is going to have to make
Like for context, this is absolutely the last thing that Obsidian wants to do.
Yes, and he's well aware.
So this is going to be social combat. Is going to be
Yeah.
first of all, Angler is going to decide the pool of how are you trying to convince him.
I'm being completely honest with him about this. I'm not trying to change his mind on any of his reservations, but just pointing out we're on the island. We might need a way out if things turn south very quickly. This place is remote. This place is as secure as we're going to get. Do you want, is it all right to do this?
All right, that would probably be manipulation socialize, I guess,
Okay.
as the role to go for it. Now, what you were trying to do is beat Obsidian Shield's resolve, which is 5.
Oh, I understand this probably isn't going to work, but I do want to try.
And for Obsidian, you don't look like you. I don't know if you have an Excellency that can boost resolve. You can apply that if you want, and a willpower does make it higher. And for Angler,
I'm gonna say the factor of Obsidian being outrageously split on this, and that he wants to assist his brother, and he knows that it's only for good nature.
Actually, hang on. Then that might be leaning on one of your intimacies to weaken your resolve.
Yes, that was another thing that I was moving towards.
I was actually going to say that this is also working towards Angler's intimacy of protecting his daughters.
I don't know if that gives you an advantage on the attack.
Yeah, that comes up on the defense rather than the attack.
My apologies. It has been, never since I've done social combat.
Yeah, I have not usually invoked it because you usually just make fantastic arguments with your words rather than the dice. But, so, the issue here is that Obsidian has 2...
Yeah, this is literally, and this is why
canceling each other out in terms of...
there is a positive the principle that you would invoke of hatred of the suffering of the defenseless, but then there's a negative one of we'll never return to the Isles.
So yeah, they're both at crossbow, just at crossroads.
Can I say one last thing here before we actually do the roll?
Mm-hmm.
Vineev, Milan, my apologies. The main reason I want to have you here with this is I want to make sure that if we make this connection, we can sever it later as soon as we're gone. I don't want to keep this. I only want it while we're on the island.
Okay.
And this is something I actually, in the heat of the moment, forgot to mention. If you do not want to include that in the calculations of the social roll, that's fine. But that is something he wanted to say.
That is a direct point that would have been involved in the social combat.
If you want to build this as the two of you trying to convince me,
that would be 2 separate social attacks against the same defense.
Milan is...
I don't want to include Milan in the actual... So this is Angler solely doing it. He's bringing Milan in case it works, but he's not going to force the issue.
Nope. Then we are where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah. It is against a resolve of 5.
Let's see what the RNG machine says.
It's 5.
5. And
I will willpower that no matter what.
Yeah, that is enough to get over the resolve and break through Obsidian's reticence. So Obsidian, let me, because this has been the first social combat in a while, I will read the exact results of social combat. And yeah, so yeah. If your resolve is overcome, you can spend a willpower to reject an inspire action, stop an intimacy from being created, stop an intimacy from being weakened. But if you are trying to resist doing something, being convinced to do something, you have to make a intimacy that is not one playing into the resolve going up or down, play into the reason why you're not doing it, and then use a willpower point to resist. Which I don't think Obsidian is going to do, but that is a relevant thing. That he could not use I never want to go back to the Isle to resist, because that already failed to stop this.
Yeah. And as I said, I think except for the intimacies playing in, Obsidian's not going to spend anything to try and resist this, as I think that is his conflicting emotions. That's what that would represent.
So it is a moment, but eventually you side with I trust. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. You can't see Obsidian's face, but you can almost weather through the connection.
You still have the damn helmet on.
Oh, he's never taken if he's not on the boat, he's never taken the helmet off. Whether through the connection or whatever, his face is contorting in a billion different ways right now. Would turn to Milan and say, would you be able to sever it in the worst case scenario?
Let me think about that, and what would I roll, Aaron?
Wits occult.
Could I?
But you realized it was a problem. There'd probably be somebody on the boat already. But yeah, you could cut it. It's just
Not
would-
from here. I would have to be on the boat to cut it.
Good.
you would have to be on either side. But the thing is, again, in the scenario where you're thinking, "Oh, I need to cut this because it's gone bad," it's probably because somebody's already used it. So that is a consideration.
Yeah, the main reason that Angler wants the ability to sever it is as soon as we have left, for whatever reason, like we're fleeing or we succeeded, everything's great, we're going back to the 100 Kingdoms. The minute we leave shore, snap it shut.
Yeah,
Like, we're done.
that's possible.
Yeah. Oh, what am I doing?
That same sort of gesture that you've seen Obsidian make a bunch where he goes to rub the back of his head, but instead he's just rubbing the helmet and just says,
Scratches the back of the.
he just says, fine, go ahead.
What does Onyx think? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask them.
Obsidian would think to Onyx.
There is a pause for just a couple of heartbeats.
Because there was a specific conversation that Obsidian had with Onyx.
Yeah, there was. If this would assist in getting you and the ones that you care about safely away from the island upon your leaving, then I support this course of action.
Onyx, how easy would it be for
You can't-
to sever
you-
the reaction?
You
Oh, I
can't
can
talk
do
to
that.
Onyx.
Damn Sorry, I thought you would relate that. My bad.
Relate, but you don't hear that. Only Obsidian.
Well, Obsidian is having a conversation, and then we'll relay this.
Sorry.
Onyx, this connection is being made. I trust Angler isn't going to be using this for anything foul, and it's purely there so that he can save his family in the worst case scenario. As soon as they're through the portal, we'll cut it off immediately. We won't be connected to this fucking terrible place anymore.
Understood and desirable.
Would relay to Angler. Onyx is fine with it. As long as the connection is cut off as soon as we're done with it.
Okay. Can Onyx cut the connection? Or does
That's
it have to be Milan?
That's a good question. Would think to yourself, Onyx, can you cut the connections that the portal has?
With considerable difficulty compared to assistance from the sorceress working, yes. Unforeseen consequences may occur if I do not have the assistance of a sorcerer to properly aim the disconnection.
Relay it as, yes, but it could go bad without a sorcerer helping.
I'll be on that.
Isn't Old Man right there?
Does Obsidian bother relaying that?
It said helping.
Do you
Look.
think Old Man would assist?
I think he would shrug and do it. To
He'd
be honest.
grumble about it, but he probably would do it.
I guess in the worst case scenario, Old Man is there and probably can pull it off.
In the worst case scenario, there is a particularly good sorcerer there who would be completely willing to help on this, because it involves removing sorcery, weird sorcerer's bullshit. from the
Undoing
world,
sorceress bullshit.
which is one of his
Proactively.
favorite things to do, actually.
You would proactively do it.
hmm
Yeah, when you put it like that.
Would relay this.
Okay.
I'm,
All right.
I'm gonna use this opportunity to actually make a tie to Angler.
Okay.
Just Angler, the family man,
Has gone home and been a family man.
has gone home and been a family man.
What does that mean now? Does that mean I'm immortal?
It means you can beat Guile in Street Fighter, I guess?
Okay.
It means that you can do a flash kick.
Well, that I'm okay with.
Hold down back.
Yeah.
You're still working on those sonic booms, but flash kicks, you got them.
How does how does they even do that?
Well, first, you need an American flag on tattoo on your bicep. Which
It's boxing.
What is America?
And
Don't know.
second, you need to get a haircut.
Regardless, Angler, do you need me here anymore?
I mean, I enjoy your company, but if you wish not to be here, that is fine. Actually, let me take that back. It'd probably be better if you were here to be able to have a conversation with Onyx in case the connection has an issue.
Actual pause in character. Fine.
All right.
To explain, just spell this out. Obsidian is fine with it. Well, he's not fine with this. He's allowing this to happen. He fucking hates this.
Yeah, I know. Angler doesn't appreciate having to do this either, but he's a contingency person.
Obsidian sits on a particular rock in the corner of the room.
The
If you
room
would like
that
to
is-
learn how to pout with the best of them, old man's got you covered.
We are next to a lake. All right. Let me see if I can find it. Angler's going to... Jeez, he's used enough most of it. He probably still has some residual. Just walk across the water directly towards where he thinks the connection or ley line is. He's been this like many times, so he probably knows it. Okay. How do I find you? Darren?
Okay, so this would be a. Honestly speaking, this would probably be a sorceress working, but honestly, I'll speed that up. Let's call this an intelligence occult roll extended, getting 15 successes within 4 rolls from Milan.
Okie dokie.
Is there any way I can help with those rolls since I am very familiar with the area? And might be more attuned to it than most.
No, this is going to be a single thing.
That's fine. Immediately before Milan does anything, Angler is going to cycle through every single one of his awareness charms to see if anybody's watching. I have just enough personal to do that.
Okay.
I am also aware of if anybody is watching or making checks against not watching. It's if anybody's making a re-intentions. God damn it.
Well, that is still important, but that is not. No one
Yeah.
is doing reading right now. One question: would Yang be watching?
Oh, am I here?
Well, the lake is across the estate, so you would see them kind of gathering around the lake if you would be curious.
I probably just idly looking around, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, you have one
Nice key.
observer aside from the people around you, but it's not very hard to look around and see that it's Yang.
Okay.
I'm just fishing.
God damn it. Angler will send a when carried words message over to Yang. Just, you might want to take a step back.
I
You can keep
refuse.
fishing, but okay, cool. That's fine. Never mind. Have at it.
This is where the good fishing is. You
Come
telling me
on,
to
you're
stop
up.
doing the good fishing?
Here we go.
It was foretold by gyromancy that I should fish here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's how you know it's good fishing.
Oh yeah, God, Yang actually was told to go swim in the lake.
I did tell him to do that, yes.
Okay, we have 5 successes on the first.
What's the threshold they have to beat in order for that to work?
You need 15 across 4 rolls.
Oh, is there any like you have to get above 2 for any of them to start counting or anything like that, or is it just 15 flat?
15 flat.
Okay,
this
cool.
is not a. This is Obsidian or Onyx is helping situation.
Obsidian
That
is helping.
is, we are at 13.
All right.
Obsidian is
and-
making the problem worse.
I could
Oh,
probably
not.
dial back on the charm expenditure now. Of course, my non-excellency one is
Yeah,
just as good
Zero
as.
power, get the best roll, of course. Well, second best roll, but
Show
Yep.
off.
yeah, it is about an hour, so it is solidly into the night at this point. It has gone beyond the evening to into the night. As Milan is just walking the perimeter of the lake, stopping at the occasional pebble or outgrowing pond stone, carving a couple of etches into it that will be easy enough to weather away just from the elements. Nothing super carved in. As
At some point, you see Milan, what looks like standing on water, but it's just hopping from rocks that are very close to the surface.
Mm-hmm. And the final actual step of the process is hopping directly into the center of the lake where there is no support and managing to stay standing on the water as it pulses outwards and glows a very bright teal as the water shimmers and turns into a large-scale image of the inside of the boat.
Angler, I'm going to need to sit on your shoulders.
That's fine. Angler is just underwater, actually. He's just keeping his two hands where Milan's feet are.
Repose would be back at the estate at this point. I just assumed that he would be vibing without being directly invited in.
Yeah, I propose he's not in the mood to initiate anything right now. He's just kind of appreciating the new rock.
Darren, can I narrate something?
Go nuts.
So, as Milan finishes the spell and the connection is established, immediately drops into the water as both Milan and Angler are flung onto the floor of the boat through the portal.
Old man can hear two very loud thunks and a "Wah!" at the bottom of the boat.
Well, that worked.
Well, I'm sure that doesn't have anything to do with me.
Oh, connections established.
Onyx, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Angler. The connection appears to be working.
Excellent. Is there any way for us to be able to contact you at the connection point, or do we need to contact you through Obsidian?
While the portal is active on the far end, speaking into the water will be able to directly connect to them, though there may be some interference on the other side.
Of course. Onyx, I want you to know I remember our promise. I will keep an eye on him.
Thank you.
All right, Milan, let's get back through.
Okay, so just
That
pop back
conversation
through.
can resume when, Bradway is back into Discord.
Discord's having an issue? No.
How strange.
Just
What do you make
pop,
of that?
Just pops back out of the shimmering light and portal and flops back out onto the shore, covered in water.
I'm eternally damp. I'm never just not damp.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, I get. Did you catch anything?
No. I don't have any bait on. This is just for fun.
Yang, roll me dexterity survival.
Did I accidentally catch fish?
You fish up a key, actually.
The fuck?
It's covered in algae.
I'm gonna scrutinize it.
Angler, you can see that Yang appears to be holding a key from the end of the fishing rod, and it appears to be as confused as you are at it.
You know what? I need to see whatever this is. This is technically my home.
the lake locked?
I'll walk over and take a look at the key.
Willpower roll for Angler.
Oh boy, I upgraded my willpower recently. What am I at now? 7. Seven.
That's the key to one of your storage rooms in the basement. Son of a bitch, Cascade.
Okay. Yang, I know you caught this.
I guess.
May I use this, please? I know what this is for.
How much is it worth to you?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, me neither. Here, have it.
Thank you. Yang, do you want to play Mahjong?
No,
Cool.
never again. Not until I die and return to the earth, and maybe even a few lives after that.
There was a vague feeling of disappointment very deep in Yang's brain.
What happened exactly?
Don't ask.
I don't want to talk about it.
We do
Okay.
not discuss the incident.
Fair enough.
Man,
Walking
making
forward.
artifact Mahjong tile set. I will never play Mahjong.
This is a religious icon. I despise Mahjong. And in that, I've achieved closer enlightenment than anyone else to Mahjong.
Like many warriors, I have adopted a symbol of terror, brutality, and hardship.
Okay,
Much as there are
Angler,
those in the north who triumphantly wear the skin of bears and wolves and boars, I have defeated Mahjong.
is your lightweight armor just going to be Mahjong tiles? Just sewn together?
We got the belt for that.
No, it's just
Bamboo vest.
It's probably going to end up being Witcher armor of just cloth with chainmail on it. Or something like that. I
Okay.
don't know.
Sure,
Arm-
sure.
Armor formal wear.
Armor with an iron collar.
Common Rider suit.
It's a
Armor
common
without
rider.
any ice.
But yeah, you now have the key for the room that Cass told you all your stuff was in, and neglected to mention that not only did she lock it, she threw the key in the lake and was going to wait until you found it.
I mean, that took like 20 minutes, so I don't...
How would he ever know to look in the lake for a key?
You know how often he goes into this lake?
Well, now when my husband gets back, he's gonna have to find a pink ball, and put it in a drain up in the roof of our house, and then run the water, and then I'll flush it out. Fucking marriage, man.
Jealous?
No.
Okay. I'm sorry you have a new mom, but it's gonna happen.
If she earns it.
I should warn you, her partner is also probably going to get involved.
If they earn it.
All right. Well, you all have a wonderful evening. I'll see you in the morning.
So, Angler heads off into the mansion, leaving the rest of the crew minus Old Man out on the lawn. If there is no conversation to be had amongst them, we will just go down into the basement where Angler finds the room with no no ceremony and just unlocks it. And yes, as mentioned in chat and in passing, Granite Sunrise is Cass's consort.
Actually, as an aside, we've established that this connection works back to the boat, right?
Yep.
Obsidian immediately falls into the water and goes back to the boat.
I was wondering how long it would take you to do that.
Fucking hate this place.
I'm out. Welcome back, Obsidian. I am as pleased that you are back as that you are upset as that you were there.
I couldn't follow that. Thank you.
Yeah, I added a couple of extra propositions in there, or whatever.
Sidian is going to go spend an hour in the Angry Dome.
So, your old stuff, Angler, what exactly would that have been?
Well, the old stuff in this case is all right. Hold on, I need to make sure I have this on record. So before this conversation happened earlier today on Loon's Discord, there was a long conversation about clothing and what people wear and stuff.
The fashion
I
of
did
the
not see that this fashion. I did not see that conversation while I was putting this stuff together, and then came upon it and just kind of stared at it for a while and said, "I guess I wasn't being crazy enough," and then went back and kind of edited a few things. So Angler is go ahead.
I was just gonna say the high fashion of the rich throughout history is pretty wild. Turns out,
Angler is getting out what he would consider to be his fashionable outfit for the island, which in this case would be a sky blue shirt, and it would be a skirt, along with a it would be black gold vest, and then high black boots. Along with this, he has a dark midnight blue scarf that he wears around his neck that's very loose around it. I'd say a baggy scarf, per se. The entire outfit seems to be almost not writhing, but slightly moving if it moves in sunshine or moonlight. And you can see very tiny bits of some kind of gem or filigree throughout the entire ensemble.
Coated in Oswalt's.
Yep. In addition to this, he also has a headband with two very long trails that go down, I'd say 2/3 of the way down his back. And on the headband, written in runes from, I don't think anyone here speaks sky language, but or wind language, but maybe?
no, you're the only one.
Yeah. Milan, damn it. God damn, I'm going to get that right eventually. Is some form of poetry. Y'all can't read it, but it's something.
That makes it more impressive. If anyone knew what that meant, they could appraise it.
Mm-hmm.
It might be bad poetry, but you can't tell, therefore it's impressive.
The only thing about it is that the headband definitely doesn't match the rest of the outfit, and it also looks to be very, very old.
The actual language is air tongue.
Yes, air tongue. Excuse me.
Or
Isn't
air
all
speak?
language air speak though? Never mind.
It squirts air out of its meat.
We do not speak of the meat tongue.
Also,
Speech
and
from the
I'll-
meat direction.
Damn it.
Meat words.
And I will say this for our more normally very acute members of the team with perception rolls and such, there definitely seems to be something underneath the garments, but you can't tell what. Like underneath the cloth itself. Not like he's wearing 4 or 5 layers, but the cloth itself seems to be different. But we'll have to see what that is.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a little bit more of a dandy, and he hates it, but he has to do it because
Parliament.
yeah, if I don't look this ridiculous, then I'll stand out. So I need to look this ridiculous to not stand out.
If everybody else is dressed up as a clown and you show up in a business suit, everybody's gonna be saying, "Who's this clown?"
Yeah, I'm hiding in plain sight by being as bright as he is willing to be.
So from there, I think we could probably just use the teleporter to get back to the city and do a brief scene with Milan and Yang in the hideaway, and then because both of the private discussions ended up being a lot longer than I expected, Parliament may be delayed until next week because it is getting
I would
decently
actually
late.
please ask
When will
that.
Parliament authorize Parliament?
One
Yeah,
of these
so-
days, old men will meet Furious Cascade. Maybe.
When
Yeah,
will
next-
old man do anything?
probably next week. I'll tip my hand on that. The old man will be doing something next week.
Old
Oh,
man only
man.
features in the cover arc of,
I just got an amazing mental
of the visit to
image
the Isle.
of my character doing a thing.
What's
Has
up?
anybody here ever seen Space Adventure Cobra, the movie?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, you know that scene where Cobra just fucking walks into the water?
Yes.
That was Obsidian going back to the boat.
Yes. But yeah, as the closer, we can do Milan taking Yang to the map room.
Hey, Yang.
What? I just like it out sunbathing by the lake now, probably.
Moonbathing.
Hey, I want to show you something.
Are you gonna go burn something down?
Metaphorically speaking, yes.
Ooh. Now you have my interest.
Okay, it's not here. It's back in the Imperial City, but we do have a portal. You just have to jump in the lake.
I mean, sure. I do so.
Both
Jump
of
in the
you
lake.
splash out into the deck. At this point, the crew members on the boat have stopped being startled by this.
All right, I'm gonna take you to my job.
Bro, we're gonna go to Parliament?
No, we're going to go to the Ministry.
Ah, fine. This better be cool.
I'm sorry, it's going to be incredibly. What would the exalted term for incredibly nerdy be?
Nerdy, probably. Like, for lack of a
It's-
better...
It's going to be incredibly nerdy.
Scholarly.
That does not preclude cool.
And then lead you to not Parliament. Lead you to the Ministry, to the Thousand Scales.
Yeah, this is not a... We're going to the one ministry build, like half the damn capital is ministry buildings. You are going to your office in one of the ministry buildings.
It is called the
Yep.
Thousand Scales for a reason. There's a lot of it.
It is one of the damn near interchangeable on the outside buildings because the Empress did that on purpose because she was entirely willing to visibly display, you are disposable and replaceable, have fun.
And as Milan leads you into what basically looks like an office space.
Okay. Did you murder someone? You need me to cover up the body?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Lead you
It
into-
is, like late at night, getting close to midnight. There are not many ministers around. They have all either gone out to drink or go out to sleep. And so there's no one really in the way on the way to Milan's office, especially because it is not a great office. It's off in the corner, it's like off in a unused space of the building.
Wait, do you work here? Aren't you like a big deal? Why do they put you in like this is a pretty small building.
Yeah,
Compare-
our funding has been cut and cut and cut and
By
cut.
who?
His name is Derek. He oversees the financing.
Oh,
of,
I remember that name.
yeah. And anyways, this is my office. Key, unlock the door, lead you in, and it's when you look at this place, it's like, okay, yeah, Milan works here. This is very. I don't know how to describe it other than that's Milan.
Like it's messy organized, like it's actually organized, but in a way that mere mortals do not comprehend.
So straighten up.
It is a sufficient density of information organized in such a way that it looks like a chaotic mess until you realize that it is taking advantage of every single square inch to put stuff.
Which is to say, it is a chaotic mess, but one that is usable.
Yes.
Yes.
It is hurricane brain level of organization.
I can't remember if it was this stream or Doc stream earlier today when I mentioned Planetes, but hey, I'm getting Planetes vibes again. I can't believe Milan is half section.
Are we gonna clean your fucking office?
Milan sort of straightens up, kind of like, oh, you're putting on a voice thing. My friend Yang, could you you look like you could use some washing up. Please make use of my private bathroom. And I gesture to a door that you didn't really notice was there before.
What do I roll to see if I understand any sort of subtlety?
Perception, socialize.
That's
Okay, that's enough to realize. Okay, this is an underhanded. I don't know what you want me to do, but you're clearly not. It is not your private bathroom, so I'll just go with it and not say it out loud.
We have to work on whatever you're. Yeah, I could go pat her up real quick. You're right.
Yes, right. That's why you'll find it's quite luxurious. The sinks in there are just they're okay. Looks round, and we are in a tiny, kind of cramped room with filing cabinets and just scrolls everywhere.
I remember this.
This is a mess.
Wait, I thought you said this was your bathroom.
Door shuts behind before.
Door shuts, lock. Okay. You know the man's back Obsidian's home?
Uh-huh.
This room it's kind of like that, but nothing that we're saying right now can physically leave this room. It is, for all intent, this room does not exist.
Oh,
Yang is actually, as this is being explained, Yang kind of feels a pins and needles feeling across his skin.
Like, if you were to take a sledgehammer to that wall, there's nothing on the other side of that wall.
Huh. That's a cool trick. So wait, can this go anywhere else, or is it always here?
It's here.
Here, when I'm using scare quotes.
So, actually, for Yang, roll me intelligence
Here or
occult.
here? How many heres are here?
Because Yang may be familiar with this principle, being a trained assassin. Okay, yeah, this mantis is in elsewhere, and the quickest way to describe elsewhere is, you know the hammer space dimension where people can just pull arbitrarily large objects out of tiny places?
Yeah, it happens.
It's that. Elsewhere is literally, it is defined as, it's not here right now. So, this is a manse that has been built to be elsewhere, but have a door to not elsewhere. So, you are in a place that technically doesn't exist, except for the part where it has a door to the part that does exist. This is some high-level shit, actually.
I thought you dropped out of nerd college. How'd you do this?
This was here from my predecessor.
No. Well, don't worry. Look,
well,
buddy.
have a seat. There should be a chair somewhere. Just starts moving stuff. Okay, we need to talk about something.
So who are we killing? It's Derek, right? We're killing Derek.
Yang, you're an Exalted.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
Everyone's super terrified of me, and I don't really comprehend why, but that's probably just because I haven't been around enough to understand.
Okay. The Exalted were another house, just like my house, just like Angler's house. They tried to kill my great-grandmother. So she killed them.
Wait, Red?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm aware of that part.
Yeah, my asshole of a great-grandmother.
I didn't realize you were that decorative, but whatever, it doesn't change anything.
You're not supposed to exist. And you got... Just like this room, neither you nor it are supposed to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Milan's looking like Train looks uncomfortable, like,
So don't talk about it. Gotcha.
Yeah. Here, I hand you a map of the Isles, and it looks nothing like what we have seen on here. There's like none of the great houses are marked on it.
What is this?
This is this is a plan. The civil war that it's going to happen, people are prepping for it. People are drawing battle lines, trying to make alliances and stuff. No one's really thinking about what happens after. This is what I want to happen after. This is the Isle run by the people who live on it.
Isn't that already currently the people living
But
on it?
Milan, you're the people who live on it.
Yeah, you live on the isle, right?
Or Black Dynamite. I run the land that I live on.
Yes, the great houses run this land. No, I'm talking about the farmer, the butcher, the common,
Oh.
the non
Activated yang noises.
Is that even possible?
I thought like no, that couldn't be at first, but I started doing the numbers. I started like I looked at like trade routes, where stuff would just like how crops move around, how trade goods flow, and everything is there to work, and there doesn't need to be this top level.
I mean, we all sort of secretly know that, right?
Yeah, but
You know, it's one of those things where if you say it loud, people give you looks or they hit you.
that's why we're in here.
Right.
If anyone out
Oh, can we call this place the Cool Zone?
shit, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the cool zone.
Okay, now while we're in the Cool Zone, let's talk about taking the means away from the noble class.
I want you to know that was my head hitting the table.
Ugh. And then Milan explains his, I'm not going to say communist manifesto, but because such a concept doesn't really exist in creation, but
Populist.
yeah,
Populist.
populist. Just okay, okay, we've had the Solars, then we've had the Dragon-Blooded. What if we have the mortals run everything?
Trickle down something.
Hey, remember that thing that Obsidian said earlier this
That
session?
thing where mass amounts of people with less power than you end up killing people with more power, but there's less of them because you abuse the masses too much.
You
It
hate to
keeps
see
happening.
it.
It just keeps happening. What if we proactively plan around that and not get killed?
Yeah, okay.
You see, Yang, we live in a society.
This is purely a work of fiction. Any resemblance to philosophical ideas, real or fictional, is purely coincidental.
This is probably such a sweeping conversation that this is something we can cut back to when we stumble up across of them. Like remember we talked about the plan, and then we can hash out something about this because
Yeah, this is a scene that you can cut back to at your leisure, because this is going to be like the backbone of Yang's whole manifesto idea, and Milan's whole decentralize the empire idea, and Obsidian's whole idea, etc.
Yeah.
Obsidian's whole idea of, God, can we please stop taking advantage of the mortals for fuck's sake?
Please stop being an empire.
Yang's ethos is basically advantage the populace so that they are more competent than they were yesterday. So like that can slide easily into whatever sort of
And then-
teaching, I guess, at all.
And the last thing I wanted to bring up for the session, this happens at the end of our talking, is in a couple of days I'm going to be making an address to Parliament. I don't foresee it going well.
Yeah, I should probably be there to make sure you don't get hit on. You know what I mean? Like assassinated, not
Yeah,
advances. You know what I mean.
I'm going to be screaming at a lot of people who have their positions for being a useless waste of space, who was too loud for their own good.
How many days do we have to prepare? I need to get some.
Well, I still need to reach out to my Lidal contact. They're going to be the one who's I know Nellen's volunteered, but Lidal is going to be the one with their name on it. I have some favors, and some friends in that house. So it'll take 3, maybe 4 days.
All right. Yeah, all right. I'll start hitting up. Well, Sinus is going to hate this, so I should start doing a bunch of research on them.
Yeah, I'm going to be dragging Sinus through the mud.
That's problem 1. And we'll see who they're in bed with then.
Problem 2, there's something going on with Lidal, and there's a non-zero chance I kickstart a mini civil war in them.
Let's call it a controlled demolition. That feels better.
There's something going on with Lidal. The fact that they haven't rallied behind Nemen tells me that the internals of Lidal are divided.
We can probably put a chisel on that and just make it worse for them.
That's my real purpose for going to Parliament, is to figure out what's going on with Lidal, because they should be hooting and hollering not only about Nemen, because yeah, she's technically supposed to be the religious choice for that, but no one says this, but why haven't they attacked Thorns? There's an entire anathema city just over the water. Why are they sitting still?
Well, that one I can tell you for free.
Somewhere, Obsidian gets a chill down his back.
Number 1, yes, Obsidian gets a horrible series of chills. Number 2, Lidal is one great house out of 10.
Yeah. That is
because Lidal's not fucking suicidal.
Yeah. Well, that is my thought of not even outright wars. Like, why haven't they made any moves about?
Why hasn't one great house just run off on its own to confront a large anathemic warlord?
Look,
What could be considering? What could possibly convince someone to not just go off and do that abruptly without the support of the rest of the family?
Milan,
I wonder what could go wrong.
Look, Milan is smarter than Bradway on these matters of the lore and story of.
No, this is good. That is why I jumped in to basically go, Milan would know the reason Lidal hasn't gone out is because they saw what happened to Epic, and even if they did have the power on their own, which they don't, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So that's not said.
Why aren't they going after the anathema? That has a totally reasonable explanation. The reason is why haven't they picked a side, which is more.
Yeah. Okay. So why haven't they picked a side? Milan's got the feeling there's something going on with Lidal, and he needs to get to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm.
And going into Parliament, making a big stink, and seeing what falls on the floor is the plan. Because there's this Lidal-backed bill that's entered Parliament, and now they're screaming at us about why the fuck have you not done anything?
So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to call it. The Imperial Isle sessions have been going on later than I expected because, goddamn, there's a lot of stuff to go through and talk about. And I've been really...
There are better parties in the middle.
Yes. So, next time, Parliament actually, probably, maybe, unless something else comes up. Old Man will probably be forced to do something. I'll just give that on the table. Mysteries abound.
Who's Old Man?
I don't know.
Sifu.
What?
It's my Sifu.
We passed by Nexus on the way here, and we will pass by Nexus again on the way back home. Just thinking about populists.
And we pass by that nation that no one talks about because it's bad there.
Let's support all the populist arguments and give it all the power to the people and have no oversight or regulations or
That is not the argument I'm going for.
I know, but Nexus is in fact right there to be like, why don't we just make an oligarchic democracy?
I don't like the current arrangement of things, so I'll just kind of rip the entire administrative structure off of people, and then they'll just spontaneously organize into the thing I like, and not any of the other things I don't like.
deregulate all forms of society, and absolutely nothing wrong will happen. Don't talk about Nexus.
I feel like I'm being roasted, but also
Yes, you are.
This will be ruled by the people who live on the isle. Milan, you were born here. You live
I know.
here.
Milan is a baby.
Look, I know.
No, you're
I'm-
doing.
I'm-
gr-
I know.
You're doing-
I Bradway am not great at formulating ideas and then conveying them in dialogue.
You
Are
are
you
doing
kidding
great.
me? This
That's the thing. You're doing phenomenally. It's just the fact that Milan is also
Pointing
slamming
out in the
face.
ribbing of, yep, you sure are alienated from the rest of the populace that you should see
Yes.
yourself as a part of. That's
Yeah.
terrible. And here goes Milan choosing a direction that he can see.
Milan is air baby.
You are playing a perfect air aspect. You have a big plan, a giant scope idea, and what the hell is talking to the people on the ground? No, I got a great idea. Trust me. on
Whoosh.
this.
Away! Adventure!
Like
Milan is air baby.
Milan has Milan. This is just Vanif idealism plus being young plus not knowing political realities plus having a generally good idea and then not thinking the consequences all the way through.
So many bricks are available to be dropped on Milan as the adventure unfolds.
I mean, several of them happened in that whole discussion, and Angler as well, with that whole discussion with Gazelle. It was just like, why don't we just leave everybody off the... Do you realize an army can't fight if you take away its entire economic engine, my man?
Oh, Angler knows that. He's just fully aware that anyone they leave behind is going to die.
Yes.
You know how many people die of mass migration? Do you think that's going to undersell how many would die by fighting and winning this war?
Mm-hmm.
Again, he knows. But he's got to try.
This hearth is a pack of dysfunctional idiots, and I love every single
Wait, hold
one
on
of
a
them.
second. Are you asking if the person who's already been like shoved thousands upon thousands of miles away if people die on a trip? No, he doesn't know anything about that.
Next time, Dysfunction Junction continues.
Next time.